Good evening. Today is Monday, May 10th, 2021, and this is our regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Education. Public participation is through YouTube currently. We are still streaming that live. Anyone who would like to submit a comment may do so through the Google form. As we call the roll, board members who are joining us remotely, please remember to state your location. Roll call, please.
Evans,
Present.
Kennard,
Here, Romulus, Michigan, Wayne County.
Terrell,
Present, Romulus, Michigan, Wayne County.
Sherman. Present. Lester is present. Piles.
Present, we have a quorum. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I move that the Board of Education accept the meeting agenda as presented. Is there support?
Support.
Second.
Roll call. Thank you.
I'm sorry. Evans,
Yes.
Kennard,
Yes.
Terrell,
Yes.
Sherman. Yes. Lester, yes. Piles.
Yes, agenda accepted. The consent agenda. All matters listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine in nature by the Board of Education and will be acted upon by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items. If any member of the board or any citizen requests discussion of an item, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will become the first item of business under the report of the superintendent portion of the agenda. A, approval. To approve the minutes of the Board of Education from the April 26, 2021 regular meeting and the April 26, 2021 closed session. B, to approve the bills for payment as submitted by Interim Director of Finance, Jewel Clare, in the amount of $661,593.99. C, to approve the personnel actions as submitted by Human Resources Director Margaret Hazlett. Resignations: Ryan Jankowiak, Technology Support Specialist, paraprofessional for RCS, effective 5/5/21, and Barbara Laraway, lead teacher at Nana's Corner, effective 4/27/21. I move that the Board of Education approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
Roll call.
Sherman. Yes. Evans,
Yes.
Kennard,
Yes.
Terrell,
Yes.
Lester, yes. Piles.
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Tonight, we have Barth students with us. So if you are a Barth student in Mrs. Wadsworth class, please come forward, as well as Mrs. Wadsworth, the teacher of the fifth grade class, and Mr. Thompson, building administrator. As most of you know, Dr. Edmondson brought IXL and recommended it to our district, and we have implemented it this year as a supplemental reinforcement for our students to work on in class or at home with their parents to reinforce concepts. And Ms. Wadsworth's class did, I'm sorry, how many questions? 1,200, or go ahead, Mr. Thompson, please brag on them.
At last I checked, I believe it was approaching 130,000 questions since they started. The other numbers, though, I would kind of want to bring to your attention is, we talked about it being able to fill in gaps where kids were struggling, but it's also another great feature is for kids that really want to go above and beyond and want to go further. So a lot of the kids that are before you today actually took that opportunity and have continued to go beyond the grade level to learn at their own pace, which is one of the wonderful things about IXL as well. Before you, you have kids that have grown, and keep in mind, we really just started using this in January. So keep in mind, before you, you have kids that have grown 1.3 grade levels in math, 2.4 grade levels in ELA, 1.9 grade levels in ELA, 1.8 grade levels in math, 1.5 grade levels in math, 1.9 grade levels in ELA, and again, 2.4 grade levels in ELA. That's in less than a year's time. So again, I would credit their own effort, their own diligence, as well as the teacher, their families, all of those things together. But make no mistake about it, IXL has definitely been a tool that has allowed them to sort of proceed at their own pace and thirst for knowledge. So hats off to all of them and their teacher and their families for the work they've accomplished in a short period of time.
Thank you for that. And while we have each of you before us, we are here honoring you tonight and placing you in the spotlight. So if there's something that you have particularly enjoyed about IXL or a benefit you've gained, please share that with us.
Who would like to go first?
Okay.
I like how IXL just pushes you even harder than you can go.
I'm sorry, Nick. We're going to get the mic and let them pass it. So those people who are watching from home can hear you. Sorry, please continue, Nick.
I like how IXL can just push you farther to your limit and just makes you keep going with everything it has for you. It just keeps going, makes you want to keep going. And that's about it.
Okay, thank
Are
you.
you sure that's it? Don't you have something to say too?
You can share.
Don't, you're not nervous now. We practiced this. O-H.
Go Blue. Hail,
We'll work on it.
hail onto Layla.
What is your name?
I'm Layla.
Hi, Layla. How are you?
Put your
Good,
mic
how
up.
are you?
I'm Dr. E.
Put your mic up
Pleasure
so we can
meeting
hear you.
I like about IXL that at the beginning of the year, I wasn't as good at math as I am now. I feel like it's made it a lot easier. Started at like a 5th grade level, now I'm doing pre-calculus with Miss Wadsworth.
You go.
I like IXL because it gives you growth over the years and the months. And it's kind of confusing when you start it at first, but it'll eventually grow on you.
Thank you. And what is your name?
Tanaj.
Tanaj.
She dressed nicely.
The thing I like about IXL is that it goes at your own pace, and at the end, even if you don't get the answers right, it always explains to you what to do, and it helps you succeed better at doing math and reading and a lot of other stuff. And I like the diagnostic test because it helps me to ensure that I'm improving in everything I'm doing.
Thank you. And what is your name?
What is your name?
What is your name?
Jaslyn Elizabeth Foster.
All right. All right, Jasmine Elizabeth.
What I like about IXL is that if you don't understand something, if you just try your best, if you get it wrong, it explains to you how to it breaks down the question for you and shows you the steps how to do it. And I also like is that the diagnostic arena, it will suggest assignments for you so you could practice your skills.
Great. And your name?
Aubrey.
Aubrey. Thank you.
Now, one thing they didn't mention that I know they have liked, because that's when I really saw things take off, is there's a new feature in IXL that teachers are taking advantage of called the leaderboard. So that puts a little competition, a little fun to it. So each week and each day, actually, if you want to set it that way, it shows like who's answering the most questions, who's progressing the furthest. And so these guys, before you had a little fun competition with that as well. So that it's all in good fun, and a lot of learning took place. The other thing that it has is the live feature, where the teacher can actually teach a lesson, have the kids practice it, and be able to see all the kids work at the same time, and then pull back and sort of give some remediation or some acceleration if needed. So we're very grateful that our superintendent had the foresight to bring that. We've seen a lot of success and look forward to the years ahead with even more future success. So thank you.
Thank you. And to each of you who are here, thank you, because Dr. Edmondson brought this IXL idea to us in the fall. But everything we do to maximize the impact on student outcomes. So thank each one of you and your families for joining us, for letting us hear firsthand from you the benefit of this program and how it's working for you. We very much appreciate your feedback. And we have certificates that each of you have earned. This certificate is awarded to Aubrey McReynolds for gaining 1.1 grade levels in ELA since November 2022, currently at a 6.5 grade level. This certificate is awarded to Aubrey McReynolds, gaining 1.3 grade levels on IXL in math since November 2020, currently 720. This certificate is awarded to Tanaj Jackson, gaining 2.25 grade levels in ELA since November 2020. This certificate is awarded to Tanaj Jackson, gaining 1.25 grade levels in math since November 2020. This certificate is awarded to Nicholas Beatty, gaining 1 grade level on IXL in ELA since November 2020. Currently 6.8. This certificate is awarded to Nicholas Beatty, gaining 1.5 grade levels on IXL in math since November 2020, currently 740. Layla Johnson, this is awarded to you for gaining 2 grade levels on IXL in math since November 2020. And also for Layla Johnson, this certificate is awarded to you for gaining 1.9 grade levels on IXL and ELA since November 2020. And to Jaslyn Elizabeth Foster, Jazzy, Jazzy, for gaining 1.5 grade levels on IXL in math since November 2020. And also to Jaslyn Elizabeth Foster for gaining 1.2 grade levels on IXL and ELA since November 2020. Thank you all so much. Thank you for coming. This is happening in Mrs. Wadsworth's class with these students, with the entire class, and in our classes throughout the district. So, Dr. Edmondson, thank you for recommending this to the board.
Certainly.
For bringing it to us. If we could get a photo.
Well, if I may, I'm going to move back, okay, just so that I can speak, so that people can see me, parents can see me in particular. First, I want to thank parents. I want to thank kids. I want to thank the Board of Education and the cabinet for believing in me and believing that IXL works. My son is in the 8th grade. He used IXL in the kindergarten, and I was going through a rough time, a personal time, between me and his mother at that point. And IXL was just a stabilizer for us in the home. We could use it in both homes because we transitioned from 1 home to 2 homes. And it was really good for my children to get that experience. What I wanted to do before I move on is to ask a parent. Okay, I can give you my perspective as a parent, what I saw. Is there any parent of these children that would be willing to say what you see at home? Because I know I have the data, so I know what's being done at school and I know what's being done at home. And I can say to the board that more is done at school than it is at home, and we're pushing. And Dr. Law's back there, who's our executive director of instruction, she knows that we are pushing that these things get used at home. So would there be any parent, if your children can get up certainly and say something, then we know that one or two bold parents. Now, if you don't, we'll just ask the kids to volunteer their parents to speak. So I'd hate to do that, but if there's a parent, I would love to be able to hear from you. It gives us great feedback as the board looks at me. You know, when we have recommendations, they want to know, is it working? How do you know it's working? What do parents say? This is a great opportunity for us to just hear what you see, if there's anyone. And Ms. Wadsworth, it's a pleasure meeting you. I believe you sent me an email, right? Please. Now, I was going to guess who's shot, but I won't do that. No. Mr. Thompson, you want to wipe this down, please, and then.
Hello, my name is Beverly McReynolds. I am the parent of Aubrey McReynolds. And what I've noticed about ISL is that she can work independently, right? So math and English have changed quite a bit since I was in school. I do hold a degree in accounting, and we fight over the math problems all the time, right? So it allows her to focus on the way they've been taught the math versus me screaming, saying, this is how you do it, it's the right answer, I don't care, right? The other thing is during the pandemic, when everybody was home, right? And they don't quite have so much one-on-one with the teachers. They come, you know, the teachers are off, and then she's working again independently. She's able to go through, and we just had something very recently where she was stuck on a problem, and she got the problem wrong, and it explained it to her in a way that she got it. She said, oh, this is what I did wrong, and she showed me, because it broke down the problem for her. And so once she has that kind of explanation, which is the explanation that she can't unfortunately get from home, right? Because Mom, it's been a long time for me, right? And so it helped her think through that problem. And it is better than watching a YouTube video, because trust me, we've tried every angle, right? What does YouTube say? Watch some YouTube videos, but this actually gives a detailed breakdown, and that was very good for them. So in that aspect, I think it's great for the kids. And, you know, it speaks for itself. The growth speaks for itself. You can't fake the numbers. So there you have it.
Here, I'll bring it. Let me slide through again. I got you.
So also for the board to know and for parents, we set the diagnostic number at 85. Kids have to pass it with 85% proficiency. We set it at 85 for a reason. If you set it at 85, I just want to make sure everybody, if you set it at 85, we're pretty sure that students understand the concept. So my own son was sitting next to me, and I'm just sitting there watching him, because he had to get to that 85. Once he got to the 85, then it allows you to stop, okay? And we're not trying to create a frustration level for kids. We want to make certain. Somebody's trying to steal my thunder over here. Jasmine Elizabeth, how you gonna let him steal my thunder? Really? So, you know, we set the number at 85, so this is a 3-year commitment that we've made. The Board of Education has supported me. It's paid for already, so you'll have it for 3 years. It goes all the way up to the high school, to 12th grade. And of course, as you know, it's individualized, so students can use it at their own pace. And that was intentional, because a 5th grader may be a 5th grader, but actually might be a 2nd grader, or might be an 8th grader, as we saw somebody is pre-calc right in the middle, still in pre-calculus. So that's one of the things that we set intentionally. And another thing that's coming, okay? I'm not gonna tell you when, but it's coming. Mr. Thompson talked about a leaderboard. What the goal is to have students in all of our schools compete against one another, okay? You wanna raise the bar, we will. We'll set the bar and we will raise it so that students that wanna compete against each other will have some kind of like academic games, but it's not quite the same in our own district, okay? So that kids can get an opportunity. There's nothing wrong with competing against somebody, even when you lose. Okay, I always say it's better when you go against somebody who beats you, it makes you motivated to get back on there and do it again. So you'll see that. And the last thing, Ms. Gutzman is my administrative assistant, and I wanted to show the school board what is going to happen and students and everyone for the first time. So my T-shirts came in, and we have what's called the Superintendent's Challenge. So I go to schools, and I ask kids questions. And if they answer it, they get the T-shirt. So you can't get this T-shirt. You can't buy it anywhere. You have to earn it. So this is the Superintendent's Challenge shirt that you get when I come and I ask you questions. Back says Romulus, of course. Superintendent's Challenge says I passed the Superintendent's Challenge. Romulus Community Schools, a little quick caricature of Dr. E. I don't look like that right now, but in the wintertime I did. It was cold. So let me explain, and we'll show you how the Superintendent Challenge works, just for the board as well. So I come to the classroom, and I say, Miss Wadsworth, how are you? I'm Dr. E. This is how it goes. How are you? Everything going all right? Class is good? So I'll walk over to her and say, tell me something that your fifth graders you think that you've taught and they should know. So she'll whisper some things in my ear. So then I ask the students, who wants to take the Superintendent's Challenge? And they usually will raise their hand, and I first preface this by saying, there's nothing wrong with being wrong. Okay, this is not an embarrassment. We are not trying to embarrass you. You'll be the first person today that answers this will be the first person that gets this shirt. And then, Ms. Wadsworth, I give you a shirt that says, my students passed the Superintendent's Challenge. So this is how it works. You're all in the fifth grade, right? Who wants to take the Superintendent's Challenge? I won't even tell you what it is, okay? You failed me. I-O. All you had to say was OH, and I would have called on you. So we'll go with pre-calc first, pre-calc. Okay, it's not that difficult, okay? You ready? Name the 5 Great Lakes for me, please. 5 Great Lakes. We're not doing math. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Great Lakes. No, wait. Not where you go vacation. Great Lakes. The Great Lakes, the big, big lakes. You named one of them, but the big, big lakes. That's one. That's 2. Now try to remember, and I always try to help students, homes, H-O-M-E-S. Each one of those is what the Great Lakes start with. And if you don't know, that's okay. That's how this, Huron, that's 3. So you did the H, she did the E, and the M. So the O and the S, not the H, O-H, haven't forgotten. Lake, starts with an O. Now, is your mom here? Okay. You want to help her? Yeah, what's the O? And what's the S? There you go. So that would be it. And then I don't stop there. And then I ask you one more since it's math. Are you getting math? You're pre-calc, right? Do you know how to simplify? Oh, not in your head. Okay, that's all right. I'll make it easy. 5/10. How do you reduce 5/10 to its lowest terms? And you don't have to be right. If you can explain to me how to do it, I'll give it to you too. What goes, does 2 go into 5? You're close. And do 5. 5 goes into 5 how many times? Because you can't see it. So we're going to help you. Miss Dear Evans here, you know, she loves Barth. Okay, she'll do anything for Barth now, I'm just telling you. So she'd probably help you right there. So it's 5/10. How do we reduce? By what? Divide both numbers by what? Factors. That'll give you the same thing. Nope. Try it again. So this is what the Superintendent's Challenge is about. I go and I ask questions, and I help kids. It's not to make them intimidated, nothing like that, okay? And when they get it, they feel good. What's the answer? Explain it before I give you a T-shirt. How'd you get that number? No, I know how. I'm not sure all these adults know how. You tell them. How do you do it? And that's the answer. And then I come over here and I say, first I say, where's my mask? Somebody took my mask, seriously. Yeah. Okay, so what I do is Thank you so much, and I give you the T-shirt, and I say, please make sure you wear that when you go around in the community and you smile. You tell them you know your superintendent is Dr. E. That's me, Dr. Edmondson. You thank Ms. Wadsworth for what she does, and you go home and thank your parents too. So that's one. One more. Anybody else want? Sorry for extending the board meeting to everybody. I apologize. Ha! I'll give you a chance, but I'm going to make you beg. OH. Let's try it again. OH. You promised me. Go ahead. Very good. Yeah, he's a Michigan. What is your name again? Aubrey. You'd like to take the superintendent's challenge. Okay. Boy, this is what I do. I get here and I'm like, oh boy, now what? Real simple. 9 times 7. This is what I do. Why's your mom over there nervous? Your mom over there nervous. You don't know, no. You should know that. Come on now, that's 5th grade. So, this is what makes this beautiful. No, this is what makes it beautiful. When I first start, this is how it goes. Then months after, you're going to see kids just boom, 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 because they want the shirts, they want the accolades, and this is the first time. So we're on camera. People get to see it. There's nothing wrong with being wrong. And as a parent, please don't ever feel embarrassed. Ever. Ever. Okay? You send the best kid to our schools that you can possibly send, and then it's our job to do the rest. So when I come in here and if I see anything like that where I see them struggle, okay, I just talk and I say, this is what we need to work on. Okay? And when you go home as parents, practice these. What is it? 63. Okay, 8 times 8. I'm gonna drill you. This is, when it's multiplication, I just do 10 of them till you get through. 8 times 8? 7 times 4? Mm-hmm. That's what I do. That's what I do. Okay, 28. 6 times 6? See how this works? See how this works? One more. We'll move you to the side. I'm coming back. Ms. Wadsworth, I'll be back this week. Are you all are you all face-to-face? You all are face-to-face? Okay, I'll be back this week. I'm coming back. One more. Who wants to do it? All right, I'm going to give it to you. Come on. You ready? What's another way of saying 0.06? What's another way to say that? 0.06, not 0.6, 0.06. Man, that's what I'm talking about. You got that one? Oh, we're not done, player. We're not done. One more. You ready? Finish this for me. Tenths, hundredths, what? Tenths, then there's hundredths, then there's what? I'm gonna leave you alone. That's why I knew you were OH. Now he wants to say IO. Give him a hand, give them all, and I'll do you two ladies because it's not fair. Paula, can you make sure they get a shirt that fits? This is a little bit small. Okay, so we'll bring them to your school. We're gonna give everybody else a chance just because. I don't want to do that to you. All right, who's ready? These are things you should know. You ready? Who wants to go? I'm a little scared. Great. We're all wrong. I'm wrong all the time. Okay, your name is again? Tanai. You ready, Tanai? Are you ready? Tanaj, are you ready? Who is the governor of Michigan? Okay. Okay. That's honest. That's honest. Who's the president of the United States? Who is the vice president? Well, how you know those two? You don't know Gretchen Whitmer. Very good. Give her a hand, first of all. Okay. You want one more? What's the capital of Michigan? I understand because it's Michigan. If it said Ohio, I'd tell you Columbus, right? I know. I get it. Do you know the capital of Michigan? Okay, so we have some work to do. Last one. You ready? Your name is Elizabeth. The middle name is Elizabeth. Jasmine Elizabeth. I remember that. You ready, Jasmine Elizabeth? You can tell I'm from Ohio, right? Because I don't know the stuff, the simple stuff. All right, last one, and then I'm out, okay? Who's the superintendent of the schools in Romulus Community Schools? I knew that would be the hardest one. What does the shirt say? Doctor? Give me an initial. Yes, it does. What is it? What is it? Come on now, so I can sit down. Everybody's looking at me like, sit down, man. What's it what? Oh, you got that. You know, you're not going to call me Benjamin now, but we're good, you know. That's what's fun. So listen, everybody. Did she get it? Oh, she got it? Okay. So we have some T-shirts, and I just want you all to know this is done in fun. When I come to schools, it's K through 12. It's not meant to embarrass at all. Okay, and I need you to know that. This is to empower. When kids see that and they get to see their superintendent come in and ask questions that they should know, they work harder. Okay, I had a parent in another district very upset with me the first time I did that because her daughter didn't do well. And then at the end of the year, her daughter went to the 7th grade, from 5th grade math to 7th grade math, and the parent thanked me and said it was all because you raised the expectation. So let's raise our expectation. For our parents, we have some work to do, you know that. Okay, I'm only going to ask questions that 5th graders should know, or if I'm a 3rd grader, 3rd grade should know, 2nd grade, and so on. We need your help. Kids are more successful when parents are working at home, and I know you are working with them. So to all of you, I'll be back. I know I owe some T-shirts. I will bring them, but I'll be back before Friday. Ms. Gutzman, make sure I get there. I'll be back. So practice my name, practice the Great Lakes, practice how to simplify terms, practice your tenths, or what do we call that? That's not tenths. Place value. Practice your place value. Appreciate you all. Thank you, parents, for coming on out. Thank you, Ms. Piles. And thank you for everybody else for taking the time and allowing me to do that for the last 15 minutes.
Okay. It's always exciting to highlight our students and show off what's going inside our buildings, because as you drive by our buildings, even though we are working on the outside, you really can't know the magnitude of wonderful things that are going on inside. So it is an honor and a privilege to honor our students on this platform. Next, we have resignation of service. Recognition, I have a resolution to read. Recognition is Ed Martell here, Teresa Beard is here. Oh, just in time. You're up, sir. Up, yes. Ed and Teresa. I know, and they match, right? So, Ed Martell and Teresa Beard both served on the Board of Education and recently resigned, and you are both missed. But the contributions that you both made while you were here continue to this day, and we thank you both for your service to the board and for your continued involvement in our community. And I have a resolution for you, Mr. Martell. Whereas Edward Martell has faithfully served the students, staff, parents, and community as a member of the Romulus Board of Education for 2+ years, and whereas Edward Martell has served the Board of Education in the offices of President and Vice President and has completed coursework with MASB, CBA 101, and Superintendent Evaluation Training, and whereas Edward Martell has further distinguished himself with leadership on the Human Resources Board Committee, and whereas Edward Martell has always attended and participated in a variety of district functions such as concerts, recognition ceremonies, community charity events, school programs, moving up ceremonies, prom toast, and athletic events. And whereas Edward Martell has always represented his constituents and the educational interests of this community in a positive manner, serving as an advocate for students, parents, and organizations. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Romulus Board of Education, speaking on behalf of all the people of this community, does hereby tender this official certificate of appreciation, commending Edward Martell for his many contributions to the progress of education in this community, and extends gratitude and best wishes on a fulfilling future, given this 10th day of May, 2021. And a side note, if I may, in addition to this, Mr. Martell just passed the bar exam, so congratulations to you. That was a lot of hard work and effort that you did while still remaining committed to this district. So congratulations to you, sir, and we wish you well in the next leg of your journey. Yes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. I just want to say, as you know, Romulus is and will always be my family. I'm very proud of what we've accomplished in these last couple of years. And I want to congratulate the district on, the TA agreement as well as the millage passing. And just, I'm very proud of where we are today. So thank you all, and thank you for this recognition.
Thank you, Mr. Martell. And Ms. Beard, our last regular meeting was your last, and you resigned, but we do have, and we read your resolution, but we do have a plaque to award each of you tonight. Yeah.
Romulus Community Schools Board of Education proudly recognizes Teresa Beard for committed service to the community, staff, students, and parents of our district. Your dedication and passion have made a difference in countless lives.
Dr. Edmondson?
Yes, ma'am.
And of course. So, and this is Romulus Community Schools Board of Education proudly recognizes Edward Martell for committed service to the community, staff, students, and parents of our district. Your dedication and passion have made a difference in countless lives. May 2021. We should get like all the board come down for this.
silly face. What a mask on.
Thank you again, Ms. Beard and Mr. Martell. They know that. They know that. We won't tell them. Next, we have Ms. Marino, our high school principal, who will be talking to us about the plans for graduation and prom. The floor is yours.
Well, greetings, everyone. It is such a pleasure to be here to tell you about the wonderful events that we have planned for our seniors this year. As you know, COVID has changed our lives and changed our plans drastically, but with the commitment of our wonderful staff and our wonderful advisors, we made sure that we had plans in place for our students to have both of these very special events. Unlike some neighboring districts, we have been determined to not only have the event, but have the event at the level of excellence that we expect for our students here. So for our prom, we decided that we would utilize Crystal Gardens Market Center Place. It is an outdoor venue. The outdoor venue will have a tent, a beautiful tent, that will be placed underneath the pavilion that you see there. It holds up to 350 people. With that, we are very confident that the approximate 100 that we will have there, at this time we've had 90 tickets purchased by our students, but when you add our chaperones and et cetera, we expect about 100 people there. So we have plenty of space for social distancing. There will be buffet style for our students, but there will be a server to ensure that we don't have multiple hands touching the food. And so all of the COVID-19 guidelines that have been put forth by the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services have been addressed, including the fact that we will only have 6 guests per table. Masks will still be required, even though HHS has just recently changed some of those requirements for outdoor events. So we are looking at that. However, at this time, all of our students know that masks are expected. As well as dancing was a question. How do the students dance safely? Well, the reality is at this time, our students will be expected to dance only with the person that they have came to the event with. And then, of course, we'll have some hustles where you don't have to dance with nobody. Okay, but for the most part, that is our plans for our prom. We are very excited about that. I can stop here and answer any questions you may have about that before I move on to graduation.
Do any board members have questions?
We would also like to thank all of you who have contributed to donations that some of our community members have been taking up to assist our students as well. So thank you to everyone who has been involved with that. So, a very important event is our graduation, our commencement activities. What we have arranged, I don't know if that's, we will be hosting our graduation outdoors at Wayne County Community College, the Ted Scott campus, which is located off of Haggerty Road. This is the same location that we utilized last year, and it turned out very nice for what we were trying to do. We know that it's still COVID, and instead of just having students drive up and pick up a diploma like I saw at some locations, we decided that we would have an actual ceremony. So the students, being that some of them did not get to show off their very fancy cars like they normally would during our prom toast and things like that last year, they were able to drive some really nice cars and pull up to their graduation. And so that was a very special event for them. But what made it even more special was that their parents were in the car with them. And so even though it was a different look of graduation, we found that many of our parents felt that it was such a wonderful event because of their ability to be right there with their child. And what the main thing we asked our students, what do you want? They stated that they wanted to hear their name as they walked across the stage. So our students will have a beautiful stage set up. They will walk across the stage as they hear the pomp and circumstance playing. I'm sorry, their cars will procession into the event as the pomp and circumstance is playing. And then they, once we get into the ceremony, we will have speeches. We will have an entire ceremony. And when we get to the calling of the names, the students will go up on the stage, pick up their diploma, take a picture by a professional photographer, and exit and go back into their cars. So that is what the event will look like. It will be heard by everyone very clearly through an audio transmitter, FM, AM transmitter. So we will have our own radio station that we can turn to and listen to the entire event. We will have space for seniors to have guests, a guest vehicle. So they will receive a ticket and a guest vehicle will be able to come. And so before, when we had it indoors, our students typically received about 8 tickets. But if you think about a car for the senior and a car with guests, you can fit 8 or more. Now they do have to stay in their car because this is still COVID-19, so we are going to enforce that strictly. But once again, that seemed to work out fine. As well, we have plans for bathroom access. Will be in the form of porta potties, but we will have something available. So that is basically the graduation plans. I do have just a picture of the lot that we utilize. As well, we will plan to jazz it all up. We have beautiful balloons scheduled. We have beautiful pictures of our graduates that will line the way as they pull up, and those nice yard signs are given to our students when they're leaving for them to display in their yards at home, which is also a wonderful marketing tool. So that is how our graduation will go at Romulus High School this year. And these are just a couple of pictures from last year's event. You can see at the bottom there to your right is a stage, and it was a very high stage. So those who were in the back of the lot could still see the students who were on the stage, which is always the most important piece. So do you have any questions about graduation?
I have a question. Are we doing any COVID testing for either event similar to what we've done with athletes prior to prom or graduation?
No, being that both events are outdoor events and we do have all of the things in place for social distancing, we are not testing anyone for that event.
Okay. And it is correct that the seniors' last day is prior to these events, correct? Isn't their last day in May, and then they have these events, so they're not
No, yes,
returning back to
seniors' last day is May 27th.
Right, because that was a question I had. Ms. Terrell or Ms. Kennard, we can't see you, but do either of you have questions?
Yes, this is Kennard. I do have a question for Principal Marino. I don't know if I heard it clear or not, but I heard that we have approximately 140 graduates, and they'll be walking across the stage.
Yes.
And you know, we are hoping for the best weather ever, like we did last year. So my question would be, is there a backup plan for inclement weather? That, you know, is there a plan for that?
The unfortunate reality is this is our backup plan. Plan A, of course, would have been an indoor event, but this is the best we can hope for is good weather. If it does not occur, then we will do the best we can to modify and make plans as we see that that will be the case. But at this time, everybody here is going to do a little rain dance. the night before to make sure that we're fine. But we're going to hope that that works out okay, because there is not a plan B per se, because this technically was plan B.
Plan B becomes Plan A.
Are there any more questions from board members? If not, then Mrs. Marino, thank you for your time, unless you would like to show us the hustle you were talking about.
Well, you can come and play. Yeah, yes, we will enjoy
But,
ourselves
yes.
at the prom, so you all are welcome to come and dance along with the students. But with that, thank you so very much.
Thank you, and
You
thank
have
you
a
for making
wonderful
sure our
evening.
students have a special event, Mrs. Marino.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. At this time, we have Mr. Haver joining us. He is our realtor who has been helping us with our various properties and get them sold. And so, welcome tonight, Mr. Haver. I did want to make sure that all of us as a board are on the same page. I know that we have a couple new board members since you were with us last. And there was also a question as to this being on the agenda. So just so all board members know, we did have action items in November where we approved the contract for the lease as well as the purchase agreement on Merriman. And today, there's a new action that is being requested that requires board approval. So, Mr. Haver, I will let you have the floor, and you can talk to us about the updates on Merriman. Thank you.
Yes, good afternoon, everybody. My name's Bob Haver. I'm with Colliers and been working with the Romulus schools, I think, for about 1.5 years, maybe even close to 2 years by now. And on a lot of our fronts, the activity is definitely starting to pick up. We're seeing more people look at land as a possibility for the future investments. So in that whole market, Romulus, Ypsilanti area, we've really seen a lot of inquiries on land, which is really exciting. I have a couple things I wanted to chat about today, though, and I'd like to kind of just lead up to the Merriman one. The other ones we can get through pretty quickly. One of the first ones Dr. Edmondson and I have been working on for a while is a cell tower at the Barth Elementary School. We've been going back and forth a few times, and Dr. Edmondson's been guiding me a little bit on pricing because I really haven't done too many cell towers, and we've been able to really bump the monthly rate up considerably for a cell tower if you were to consider it at Barth. We have a contract right now that was sent to us for about $1,000 a month. We can get that to $1,200 a month. If any other carriers want to be on this tower, that would earn you another $150 a month. I think it can handle up to 4 different carriers. This particular carrier, I believe, is the Dish Network. They are getting ready to launch a new cell phone service, so they're out actively looking for towers like this right now. So your pad, just so you know what it might look like, would be about a 50 by 50 area. And they would be putting up a tower. I'm not sure the height, 75 feet to 100 feet, whatever the city and FAA would allow. So that is there for your consideration, or we can counter them. But I think around 1,200 is about the max for these guys at the moment. We just have to decide if we want to move forward with them. So that would be the first thing that I wanted to chat about. Just real quickly on the second thing, we did receive a letter of intent to purchase the Beverly land, the 9 acres on Beverly. I believe it came out to $280,000, which is $31,000 an acre. Probably a little bit light. I think we could probably push that into the, lower 3 range, 320, 330. I believe we actually had it under contract, fell apart at 330 last time. So this would be for a logistics company, not a straight trucking company, which the Romulus schools would, the Romulus city would probably turn that down. But they would build about a 10 to 15, 20,000 square foot building for logistics. And they would have some trucks there, but that's just delivering the materials that they'll be supplying. So that is also on the table for us to consider or counter in the near future.
Mr. Haver, I'm sorry, as far as the Beverly property, and you might not know this, so I apologize if you don't, but I'll ask, do you know what that Beverly land is appraised at? Or Dr. Edmondson, do you?
I do, but
I do not know what it came back at.
Because I'm just wondering if that's in line.
what they're asking for is more than it's worth.
What they're
On
offering,
the
you mean?
appraisal, yes.
What they're
I
offering.
talked to Mr. Garland today, and I said, what's that worth? And then he told me $250. And I said, so?
You could have told me we'd talk about that outside of the meeting.
But I didn't look at the appraisal myself. It was
Right.
just Mr. Garland and I talking, and I said 280. And, then I talked to Mr. Haver, who thought that was low, but Bill said based on the latest appraisal. However, properties are going quickly and they're going for above what people are asking for.
Correct.
So I can't verify that. I'm just going on what Mr. Garland said, and I trust him.
Thank you.
Yeah,
And
I think Beverly Road is becoming a popular area right now for whatever reason. And, I do think we could stretch that a little bit. It's certainly worth a try.
Sure.
I think if we can get it up over, I'd like to push it to 320 personally and, see if we can get there. I think we can though.
Great. Mr. Havers, you talked about the cell tower. Do we have a time frame when that would go up? And do we have to get permission from the city? Has that been obtained?
Oh, yeah, no, yes, we definitely have to have approvals from the city to do all that. That could probably take another 30, 45 days at least. This particular group has been in touch with the city. They seem to be on board with it. They've provided us 2 locations on your Barth Elementary site that could potentially work. I think we have a site plan in your hands now, if I'm not mistaken. If not, I can get that back over to you anytime, Dr. Edmondson. But yeah, it would take some rezoning, and the city would certainly be involved in all of that. And I'm guessing that would take about 30 to 45 days.
And would that be back in the wooded area behind Barth?
There was a spot that was pushed up right against that wooded area in the back. Yeah, that does seem like the best spot to me. It was out of the way.
And then would they be responsible for putting in a gravel road or something to access it? And would they be the ones maintaining it?
They will maintain everything. I don't know if they actually, I did bring that up on the gravel road. I don't know how they access it. I think we should still investigate that a little bit more, how a truck would get back there to work on it. But yes, everything associated with that, 100% on them.
Great. Are there any questions from board members?
Yes,
Ms.
Ms.
Evans?
Piles? So if there's a gravel road or an access avenue to that, should it not be sectioned off from the playground area so that students are safe from any vehicles going back there during school time or even after?
Yeah, those are all things we still need to work out because it is a school. I'm sure we could get them to work after hours. I don't think that would be an issue. That would be something we could put in the lease as well.
Yes, it's just.
But
a
yeah, that
concern
is
with
something we
kids
do need to
running
look in a
around.
little bit further if
Right.
we make it past this next step. Yes.
Okay, very good. And Ms. Piles, can I ask a question about the about the Beverly properties? In items, in this, the documentation we received earlier, in item 4, the due diligence says that the deposit will be non-refundable. Under number 5, in closing, it says that the deposit will be non-refundable. Then you get to the earnest money deposit, and it says it's refundable. Please explain to me whether this deposit is fully refundable or not, non-refundable or not.
Well, I don't have that in front of me, but it sounds like we're talking about 2 different things. There was a security deposit given, and I believe that may be non-refundable. Then they have to put down, once they move forward, 90 days prior to closing, they have to put down $65,000. That is refundable if it doesn't close.
Wait, that is on Beverly?
This is the Beverly one, yes. Item 5 and 6, or 4 and 5 clearly say. that-
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we jumped over to the Merriman property.
No, no,
Forgive me.
I referred back to the Beverly properties, please.
I don't have that in front of me.
Okay, if you could
To
get with
comment,
Ms.
I
Piles.
apologize. I do
Yes.
not have that in front of me. But those are things that we could definitely get past very easily. We don't have to go by what they have there. It's a letter of intent.
Okay.
We can send them back our response any way we want to.
Well, basically what I want to know is if the $10,000 is refundable or not. It says in 2 paragraphs it is not, and then in a one for the earnest money deposit, it says that it is refundable. So,
It's probably a typo on their part. They put that together, but normally, on a purchase like this, that $10,000 would be refundable if they are unable to close or maybe unable to get the zoning that they need from the city.
well then, yeah, we really need to look at this then.
But yes, that would be something that would typically be refundable if it doesn't close within, let's say, 60-day period. He had a pretty long due diligence period there of 120 days. That's way too long.
Right.
Okay. Thank you. Do any board members have any questions about the cell tower on the Barth property or the Beverly property only?
This is Kennard. I did have my hands raised, but I don't know if you can see it or not, but I'll lower it. My question for Mr. Haver is, you mentioned that with the cell tower, that the district could possibly, the expense would be between $1,000 to $1,200 a month, and then you said there were 4 carriers that could be, I guess what you were meaning could tap into that. So I guess I need some explanation. Is that meaning that the district can tap into the tower? They have four networks that they can tap in, or is that for anyone else, i.e. such as the city or what other, or
No,
what do you think exactly mean by that?
Yeah, I think it's mainly going to be for the Dish Network to start. A lot of these towers allow other carriers, AT&T, Comcast, that type of carrier, to put their equipment on that tower as well and share on it. So this group would charge them a fee, and then every other person that comes on that, I mentioned it might be able to hold to 4 total carriers. Each new one that comes on, they could pay you an additional $150. So it'd be for carriers like that.
Okay, so that'd be a revenue to the district off of that tower, off of the tower.
Yeah, yes. $1,200 a month. It's a 5-year commitment. There are bumps in there, and then they do ask for options.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Edmondson, did you want to speak to
I
that?
sure do. So I'm fluent pretty much on all of these, and I sold properties in Ypsilanti as well. I made a big mistake in Ypsi when I first got there that I'm not going to make here. And I read the contract on the cell phone, so it was low what they gave us. So I was like, that's not going to work. So I was with the mayor and the mayor of Romulus. We were riding around, and I got a couple contracts that the city of Romulus is leasing. So we came to, that's how we got it to 1,200. It started at, if you can recall, I think it was 750, and I got them to 1,000. Now it's at 1,200 or 1,250. However, it does say that if they get additional carriers, I think you get, Bob, I thought it was 1.4%, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I thought that it said something like that per carrier up to 4. However, it said after 5 years, they can do another 5 years. After 5 years after that, they can do another 5 years. I'll never lock into that. I did it before, and I did a 30-year lease because we weren't doing anything with the building. But then it lands up smacking you when 5 years later, property value goes shooting up, and then you have something that, so I told Bob that we're gonna have to go back and revisit that there's no way that I'm gonna sign or even talk to the board about signing a 30-year contract. So we're having that conversation. The other one, the Beverly came today. I haven't had a chance to look at it. All I saw was what I do, just like a Christmas card. I'd open it and wait for the money to fall. So on the contract, I looked for the money, how much, and it was 280, and then I ran the bill and I said, hey, where are we? So I haven't done my due diligence there. And I hate to give away this trade secret, but it works and everybody should know it. Never take somebody's first offer. Never. So they said 280. I'm like, that's nice. I said sold, but I would come back to you and hopefully, okay, but I certainly won't lose the deal either. Just wanted to say those two things.
Thank you. Mr. Terrell, do you have any questions on either of these two properties before we move on to Merriman?
Well, this is Kennard. I got another question. It's pertaining to the Merriman property. Did I hear you right when we have it up for
Ms.
280?
Kennard?
Is that what we're saying?
Ms.
280?
Kennard, we haven't moved on to
No,
Merriman
the
yet. We're talking about Barth and Beverly.
She thinks.
Oh, okay, Barth and Beverly, right.
Yes.
We have a letter of intent, correct, right now, right?
For Beverly, it just
For
came through
Beverly.
today, but we don't
Yeah.
have a lot of information. Yes.
Well, I heard him say 320. We could probably increase that to 320. He initially in the beginning said, the value of the property over in that area is up, and he said 330. And then a few minutes ago he said 320. So I guess I was wanting to know, why did why would Mr. Haver stick with the 330 instead of saying 320?
So my reasoning for that was that, if we're going to get to a 320 number, we should be asking 330 on it. So we got to get up a little bit higher if we want to get down to a 320 number. So that's why, I mentioned we should probably go back at 330 and, hopefully get them close to that last number that we were at, which was 320.
Right.
That's okay. I just wanted to hear you say that.
I want to add to that, we got another inquiry on Beverly today, so I called Mr. Haver about that. Someone else is interested, so I passed it on to him, so maybe we'll find out if we can get to 340,
Wonderful.
even more.
Okay, so if there are no other questions on Barth Cell Tower or the Beverly property, we will move on to the Merriman property.
Wonderful. So, I think things are going really well there. Dr. Proctor's group, Honors First, has been doing a lot to fix up the property. I understand she's spent a little over $200,000. She did send me a little email kind of documenting, what she has spent. So I did write them down. I can run through a few of them with you here really quick. Basically, the building had a lot of broken windows, and I guess it's even had a few break-ins since she's put up some new windows. So she spent at least $15,000 already, and she's got a whole new set coming in anytime in the next week or so to replace the remaining broken windows. Painting on the inside of the building was $50,000. Little extra cleanup on the inside was $6,000. They put cabinets in 20 rooms for $35,000. Flooring, vinyl flooring and carpeting, $24,000. They've spent exterior work, I guess, around $30,000, and they have another $35,000 coming up for some exterior painting. So to date, I guess she spent approximately $205,000. So good indication that she's definitely going to move forward with this deal, spending that kind of money. In fact, she's telling me she would like to get this done sooner than later. So as soon as she can get her approvals from the city, she's basically ready to close right away. So what's happening in that round is that Carol Mize at the city has basically told her she can get a rezoning of RM. RM is multifamily zoning, not really the best zoning for her. So I'm not really sure why they recommended that. She really needs a commercial zoning of C2, a conditional zoning as well, which is just general business. So her office right now is in Birmingham, Michigan, or West Bloomfield, Michigan, off of Woodward. So that whole operation is going to be moving here. I did provide a nice website, and she's actually putting together a new website right now for this particular location, but she does have one for, I believe, her location in Arizona. So I have provided that if you wanted to go to it. And right now, so that's going on. The whole rezoning process is probably going to take, she says, about 30 days. She's actually hired an architect to go in and do the rezoning for her. I guess that architect's charging about $20,000, but it's well worth it if she can get the rezoning that she's looking for. And all we need to do to get this started are two things. We need just basically a letter approving her to go in for rezoning from the Romulus School Board. So I need some type of a letter to give to Dr. Proctor that she can take in that's allowing her to go in for a zoning rechange. I know there's also some concern if she didn't follow through for some reason, that you would lose your zoning that you have right now. That's kind of true, but that would only last for a certain period of time until the next, I think it's almost a year that you have to wait. So it kind of depends on when that falls in, but you can get your zoning back and you would be still tax exempt. There might be a short period of time, a few months, where that may not be the case, but I was told you definitely will get your zoning back if it's changed and it doesn't go through, for example. But I don't see that happening. This is kind of moving really quick, and she seems to be on the right track to getting her C2 zoning. So all we need is proof of ownership through possibly a deed, and just a quick little letter that says she can go ahead and the Romulus School Board approves her going in for rezoning.
So, Mr. Haver, you said that the rezoning is expected to take about 30 days, and then she would be ready to close. Is that the rezoning from what it is now to RM, and then another period of time from RM to C2, or is that for the total rezoning to C2?
So yeah, that's a great question too. If she goes to the RM, she can still move her closing. She will still have to go in after a period of time, and I don't know what that is, to still apply for her C2 zoning. But if she wants something changed fast, she could probably get her RM right away. If we're going to go the full 30 or 45 days for her to go to the C2, which I think she wants to do because she doesn't want to go through this again, it could take up to about 45 days.
So, Mr. Haver, my concern is how are we able to best ensure that she will be able to get this zoning? Because in the past, what's happened in the district is when we have a vacant property and there's an application for rezoning, it draws glaring attention to the fact that that building is not being used for school purposes. And this board has had difficulty then in the past getting the tax exempt status back. So how can we hedge against that problem again? Because it wasn't as simple as then all of a sudden we were tax exempt again, because that building still won't be used for school purposes.
That's a great question. I mean, that's really hard to answer. We don't know what the city is going to ultimately do, but I mean, she can operate under RM if she has to. She's definitely told me she's committed to buying the building. I do know you can get your rezoning back because I personally checked on that myself. And she has hired an architect and is paying him a lot of money to get it done properly. And when I talked to Carol Mays from the city, she recommended that Dr. Proctor get somebody like this architect to do the work. And it goes through a lot easier. So right now, I mean, all I can say is she's doing all the right things to get it done the right way. And I believe that it will go through.
What
It's one of the risks possibly of selling a school that's tax exempt is, we have to go through the process with anybody to get to this point.
What department is Carol Mays in at the city?
I believe she's the economic director there.
Thank you.
Oh, one other thing that's also come up that's really important is that I almost forgot is the dog park. I understand there's a lease for 9 acres in the back of this, leased to the city for 99 years for $1 a year. That really doesn't do her any good. We really didn't know in the beginning that there was a lease out there for 99 years. She's still ready to go through with it, but it's certainly something that, that's 9 acres of land that she's unable to use. I've asked the city for a copy of this lease, and they don't have a signed copy that they've been able to find to this point.
So, Mr. Haver, just for my own understanding, the lease and the sale would be specifically for the Merriman property, regardless of how many acres adjoin to it. So, I mean, she is planning on just using the building and the property as it is allocated and not necessarily going to take the liberty of using any adjacent land. Is that correct? Like she would go through whatever channel she needed to.
Well, I think her plan is to buy the land across the street, buy that house just to the north. And yeah, I would imagine she wants that 9 acres to utilize.
If she is unable to get that, because I don't know the specifics of the dog park, when you and I spoke, I'm still trying to get information on that. But if she's not able to get that land and/or the house to the north, is she still interested in working with the Merriman property only? Or are those a deal breaker for her?
Yeah, the house in the north is something that would happen down the road. I mean, so no, she doesn't need that right now.
Okay.
She doesn't even really need the 9 acres right now. But, I mean, I do think she had plans on utilizing it. I don't think that would kill the deal.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions from board members? Ms. Evans?
Yes, does the 9 acres have a separate state ID? Building, or I'm sorry, property number?
I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen anything.
Because I'm
I
looking at the
don't
initial
believe there is
contract and it shows
there is a second parcel, but I believe it's just off to the north. It's a little sliver of land that you have there. But this is in the very back by the neighborhoods.
Yeah, I'm looking at the 2 tax ID numbers. One is 19 and one is almost 5.
Right.
And so you're saying there's an additional 9 that she's interested in?
No, I think that additional 9 is part of the larger parcel.
Interesting. That's the dog part you're referring to. So you're saying the 9 acres of the dog part is part of this 19.66 acres?
Yes.
Do we have a topical view of the property?
I mean, I could easily get one. I don't have one handy to show you right now.
A topical view would be very helpful in my eyes to show the boundaries of the property. 9 acres of the dog part is part of this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have anything that shows where that 9 acres is. The city happened to tell me they saw 9 acres on the lease, but it was an unsigned lease.
And that 9 acres is the dog part that you access from the Oak Brook sub, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Mr. Haver, would you talk to us about the rent and what is being done with that on this property?
So, yep. So, the rent is $2,500 a month. She gave you a $2,500 security deposit in the beginning. Somewhere down the road, she mailed in an envelope with 3 $5,000 checks because she hadn't received anything regarding utilities. So she wanted to kind of throw some money at the utilities, not receiving a bill at all. So somewhere out there are 3 $5,000 checks. She's been and I have receipts for those. She's been in contact with her bank. and her bank will not let her do anything. She cannot be reimbursed, in other words, for that until 90 days, and if they haven't been cashed. So as soon as, I mean, we can find that out, she's more than happy to catch back up again.
So was the first rent payment was due November 1st? The lease period's November 1st through December 31st? So the 90 days that have passed, for those payments, is she able to remit those to us?
I mean, I don't know, only because I really haven't been involved in collecting in the rents and everything. I mean, yes, she wants to make herself whole as quick as possible. Yes.
Okay, I don't know if Jewel Claire or Dr. Edmondson, do you know if we have invoiced for the utilities yet? And have they paid them?
I think,
Supposedly included 2,500 for the rent and 2,500 towards those utilities, but we never received the 3 checks. So those are for March, April, and May are the 3 checks that are missing.
March, April, so did we receive November, December, and January?
Just the 2,500, but not the utilities. We've sent the, we electronically sent the utility bills to them.
Okay, just so I understand, did we receive just a $2,500 down payment to use against the utilities? Or have we received any actual rent payments of $2,500?
Yes, we received a deposit of 2,500, and we received partial of November, because they didn't move in right on the 1st. So we got a partial month of November, and we got December, January, and February. And the 3 checks that are missing are March, April, and May. And they were for $5,000 apiece. So there was $2,500 for the rent, and then $2,500 towards the utilities. We sent them copies of the bills, water, electric, and gas up through April. We don't have May's to give them. We'll have them soon.
When did we invoice those? Just out of curiosity.
It's probably been about 3 weeks. Month or 3 weeks or a month.
so all we need to do is kind of figure out where we are, and then I can get everybody caught up very quickly here.
I'll do something tomorrow for you.
Yes, Ms. Kennard?
Madam President?
Yes.
I'm sitting here and I'm listening. I'm trying to wrap my head around the fact that we are leasing this property, and they spent over $205,000 in renovation costs. And I think if we were to put this on the market, I think I saw it in contract. It was what, 650 something, 650. And so my question to you is, why should we be, as a district, allowing tenants? What's the reason for zoning it before they own it? I mean,
That's why we did a lease with an option to give her the time to go in there and rezone it and do some renovations to the property. If you get it back, you've got a building that's worth a lot more than you left it last.
So it appears
I think just what needs to happen is I can give you a contact person for Dr. Proctor's secretary, that person could be the go-between of make sure you get your checks on time, and whatever bills that come in can go right to her, and then she can get you paid right away.
So, okay, so I'm confused. She mailed 3 $5,000 checks together, but we received part of that? No. Excuse me, I'm asking Mr. Haver. I'm trying to understand. We received rent for partial November, December, and January. And we also received a down payment of $2,500. And that was mailed separate from the three $5,000 checks that we're waiting to receive. Is that correct?
You're asking me? Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Madam President?
Yes.
Okay. I think according to what Ms. Jewell was trying to say, we got the deposit. We have a partial payment for November because they did not move in November 1st. We received full rent for December. We received full rent for January, full rent for February. So come March, but during those times, they did not pay any electric or water bills. So come March, they were sending in 3 additional checks of $5,000 apiece, which were to cover March, April, May, with an additional $2,500 in each check, which was going towards the utilities. So the only thing that's outstanding technically is March, April, May, because we're trying to find where those checks are before she will reissue new checks. Correct?
Thank you.
Correct.
Thank you.
So, Ms. Claire, what is the utility expense on Merriman? Were they allocating, in a $5,000 amount, $2,500 toward the rent and $2,500 toward utilities? Is that like just a ballpark, or have we calculated that that is indeed the actual utility expense?
It isn't the actual, it covers it. It's probably high. I don't have those in front of me. I can email them to you, the bills, the actual bills. They're in a, PDF altogether.
Right, and then, yeah, and then also whatever they pay, so that we can see those line items, so that when those amounts, when we do receive them, those $5,000 checks.
Yeah, I think they're gonna have to put a stop payment on those. They're just not, I mean, it's been since March. They have not come into this building, so.
Probably lost in the mail.
The mail's been, if all of you know, you got Christmas cards in January.
Yeah,
It's been
I just
horrible.
got one last week.
It's been horrible.
Mr. Haver, in the lease agreement, there is a paragraph that states that the tenant will get the utilities in their name. Is that something they can be doing that now? It says, tenant shall make its own arrangements for the provision of electricity with respect to the premises, and shall contract directly with such utility provider and pay all the charges. So can we get that done now, so we're not like being the middleman between the utility
Absolutely,
expenses?
yes. That's a great idea. I will let her know first thing in the morning to take care of that.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, because that is part, I see, of the leasing agreement, and so we can, I'm sorry?
What paragraph?
It is on page 6, and it is in the second paragraph.
Thank you.
Yes. And so, yeah, if we could just, Dr. Edmondson and Ms. Claire, if we can get a list of all of the rent expenses by month. I know November was a partial month, as well as the utility expenses by month, and then just show us receipts of what has been paid for and what is outstanding, so we're not blurring all of those lines as we go forward. Yes, Ms. Evetts?
I have a question on section 12. In the in the first paragraph, it says that all such work and performance thereof shall be in accordance with all applicable zoning, building, fire, health, occupational safety, and other codes. If they knew that they were working under those zonings, why do we have to hold off for them to change the zonings? I'm sorry. Section 12, it says that all work will be under applicable zoning, building, fire, health, occupational safety, and other codes. If they know that that's in there, they're working under the current zoning, why should we have to wait for them to change the zoning?
Well, they aren't working there right now. They're just fixing it up. They can't work there and do what they want to do unless they get
This is
it
under
rezoned.
installations, alterations, and additions.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you very well there.
This is under 12, installations, alterations, and additions.
Okay, I don't have that in front of me right now, so I'm just trying to go by your question, but, mean, that's why we-
my real question is, if they knew the zoning when they went into the lease, they're working under those zonings, agreed to this contract, going through with the existing zoning.
right?
And now they possibly would want us to hold off to change the zoning. So I'm a little confused with that.
Well, I mean, that was the whole purpose. They knew what the zoning was. They know it was tax exempt. They knew it was going to take some time to do it. That's why we put together the lease for just 1 year, and then they had to purchase the property. And during that time, they had to be ready to open up. So they have done some things that are allowed under, a current zoning to, just improve the building cosmetically. So that's what they've been working towards. But yeah, she was well aware of what the zoning is. Almost anything that you buy right now has to go through rezoning and be approved for what your use will be. So it's a very normal process.
Understood. I'm just, again, I'm confused as to why we would postpone a closing to rezone.
Well, we're not postponing it. There's no postponing it. She has until August 1st or so to
Okay.
give you $65,000 to close. So when there's no postponing it, it's just under a lease agreement right now until she gets closer to the end and gets her zoning, and then she goes right to closing.
So I'd like to,
So that's why this letter is so important right now, because she can't move forward with any rezoning unless you approve of her going forward.
so I'd like to say this. Mr. Haver set up an appointment many months ago with Dr. Proctor. She is nothing but a class act. She's been a class act from the time that I've met her. My thoughts were, let me do what I can to help her pass. I mean, she's invested a lot of money in this building. She's been very patient when we kept putting it off for our own reasons. Very patient. We didn't send her invoices. I knew that she would send us things, but I mean, really, our house wasn't in order. Wasn't her. Our house was not in order financially here. We all know what we were going through here, and then we finally, said, oh, now we need to do this. There was no communication about $15,000. That shocks me. If I would put something in the mail, actually, I would have driven it over here, personally. That's what I would have done. But it didn't happen. She sent us a copy when I talked to Bill about, hey, where's the money? Or Bob, sorry, not Bill. Bill and Bob, actually. And, we here, our finance department went through everything. We have not been able to find anything except the initial $11,000 check. But just my opinion is you work with somebody. I mean, she's invested a lot of money in there, and we knew what we were getting rid of. Windows broken, all the nonsense. And she, again, has been a class act, and I didn't think there was no reason for me not to write a letter. I would have written it immediately, but I didn't get it until just now asking us, what am I doing? I can explain what I'm doing. I'm talking to the mayor saying, hey, listen, this person is doing something good for the community. She's creating an autism, I don't know, it's not department, but facility. And, we talked about that. We talked about her servicing our families. That was a great vision with which I could align. And I said I would love to be able to refer our families who have adults or kids that need additional help that we can't give them. But she has been a class act, and I feel that, it was a risk on her part, okay, and that's why she did what she did. But if we're not going to help her, I mean, I think that's what you do for somebody who is doing something good for the community. It's no skin off my back to say, hey, listen, let me write this letter on behalf of the board or period. You know, I can't help that there is some confusion about payment, but she hasn't avoided us. She's not derelict in terms of paying us. If we didn't send her anything, it was nice of her to think to send us when all the stuff was going on internally here in our finance department. I do not dispute that she sent us something. Okay, I couldn't tell you if we opened it. I have no idea. So she has done everything that she's tried to do. Initially, we let her know that there was a dog park and that 9 acres or whatever it was off limits, period. That was stated. But there is no document. And I talked to the, you know, when I was riding with Mr. McCrate and the mayor, we made reference to it, but nobody could remember anything being signed. Okay, maybe it was, I don't know, but everybody remembers the agreement, but nobody remembers who signed what, who was doing what when. I just asked the board that that you think about supporting her. If she needs a letter from us, she needs a letter from Ms. Piles or the board, that we consider doing it, because it's what you do to build good friendships and good neighbors. And we'll work out the rest. I mean, Miss Claire is aware, Bob, Mr. Haver is aware, we're all aware. But I would just like to see that if we could.
Thank you.
So how much has been received thus far? Do we know? Ms. Claire?
It's approximately, I think Dr. E said 11,000. I could go get a copy of the check. It's, I have a folder in my desk, but let's see. It was a partial November, December, January, February. Those were 25 each, plus the deposit. So that would have been 10,000. And then it was about over 11,000. Partial month of November. It's the only piece I don't know off my head how much we got
How
for
much
November.
that was for November? Okay. Yeah, if we could get that information, Dr. Edmondson and Ms. Claire, just for December through May, there's a rent expense of 15,000 plus whatever the partial amount for November is. And then in addition to that, the utility expense that's been incurred. So if we can, and plus the $2,500 deposit. So if we can get an accounting for those expenses that have been incurred thus far and what amount of them has been paid, that would be helpful in going forward.
Okay. Do you want that right now or tomorrow? Or?
Oh, I mean, yeah, whenever you're able to. I don't, if you have it accessible, great. If you don't have it accessible, then no. Yeah. Board members, do you have any further questions?
Madam President, I do have a question, and it's basically concerning the dog park. What happens if we're not able to find out or locate a lease agreement? Will that impact what the doctor is wanting to do?
No, currently we are entering into an agreement with her for the Merriman property, but she is hoping that eventually the 9 acres of the dog park would be available to her.
Yeah, so at this point, I don't believe, she's not brought it up, she's just talking about getting it closed. I mean, she's well aware of it. I have been in touch, so the appraiser, the Romulus appraiser is the person I need to talk to find out if there's actually a signed document somewhere. She's vacationing in Hawaii for another 10 days.
Must be nice.
So,
I have these, Madam President, I have the check
yes,
that I sent to you. It's 11,500.
okay.
That was sent November 12th. And then I have the utility bills, and the utility bills were, I got to move away from it. November to December, 1,700. Amount billed was $1,767. This is DTE. 12/14 to January 13th was $3,548.80. And February 12th to March 14th was $1,753. I see Trustee Evetts is writing down. So the first one was November to December, $1,767.92. December to January was $3,548.80. And February to March was $1,753.30. That was the amount billed, and then we have the amount paid. So the amount paid was $6,323. Looks like we didn't maybe pay $700 in March or something, that we gave them a partial payment, but everything else. So $6,323.66 was paid. And that was DTE.
And do we have the March to April amount?
I don't see anything from March to April yet.
So, Mr. Haver, I do have a question for you. When we're looking at the purchase agreement, and it reads that the purchase agreement is entered into this first day of December 2020, and it is known as the effective date. So that's the beginning of the purchase agreement. And then in paragraph 5, it reads under deposit, the purchaser shall provide the seller with a deposit amounting to $65,000 to be applied toward the purchase price. The sale is consummated. Deposit must be provided to the seller within 60 days of the effective date. So if the effective date is listed at the beginning as December 1st, 2020, should we not have had that $65,000 within 60 days of the effective date as stated in the contract?
Well, it's always been my understanding that she would provide it 60 days prior to closing. That effective date for the lease may just be the lease date and not the purchase date.
It's actually stated it's the first sentence of the purchase agreement, an effective date of December 1st.
Well, we have brought this up to her, and because it was brought up to me, and we did look at it, and it's always been her understanding that she was able to give the 65,000. I thought it was 90 days, but it might be 60 days prior to her closing.
Do we know if they've obtained a mortgage yet?
No, I believe she's paying cash.
Okay, so, did you forward these to everyone? Okay, great. So, board members, in your email, Dr. Edmondson has forwarded cashier's checks. Now, are these the copies that she sent us? I mean, the receipts that she had sent to you?
She sent those to Bob, Mr. Haver.
Right.
He sent them to us. I've never seen them.
Right, so these are copies of the certified checks she sent to us that we have not received yet, correct? Okay, so do we have copies of whatever we have received? Okay. That's what I want to, because what hasn't been received, I don't want to confuse it yet. I just want to figure out where we are with our accounting so far, what is owed and how much has been paid.
Yeah, there is a lease document and there is a purchase document. So I had mentioned to Mr. Haver what you said, and he sent me back another copy. I believe that was the purchase agreement where it said that she has up until, she has 1 year, I think 1 year for the $65,000. Because there are two different things. That's why I was on him about, we should have this money. Then we got this other thing that says, one of these that says, in terms of purchasing, it's there somewhere. Oh, I'm sorry.
It's right here.
No, this, I had it on the microphone.
Okay.
I have to find where Mr. Haver sent me the one on the purchase agreement that says August. I'm trying to pull up his emails, but
Yeah, I kind of remember that August 1st or
like
August
600.
31st date.
we have like 600 emails between us.
So I guess if she has a year to pay the down payment of 65,000, but she planned on actually going from the lease to the purchase in less than a year, I'm not understanding why 65,000 would come due after she'd already intended to purchase.
Because she had to get the rezoning in place in order for her to do what she wanted to do there. And she did have to give you it in 9 months. So she has a year to close. She had to give you 65,000, 3 months, what I thought was 3 months. It could be 2 months prior to closing. So that's 9 months. But she had a year to lease it. And if she didn't lease it, she doesn't even have a renewal there at all.
Right. So, and I know that in the original letter of intent that we received on October 12th, that was just a letter of intent to purchase, that language was there about the 65,000 90 days before she was going to close. But in the actual purchase agreement, that looks like it was changed because it stated that $65,000 deposit would be provided to the seller within 60 days of the effective date, which on the purchase agreement is listed in the first sentence as December 1st. And I thought when we were talking about the utilities and receiving payment, I thought we had heard in the meeting that they had already placed a significant down payment, $60,000, so we weren't worried about the utilities. My concern is what I definitely want to help somebody, and I think this is going to be an incredible facility. But again, we are selling our property. We're not, I just want to make sure we are being fiscally responsible, and I can appreciate that Dr. Proctor has spent $200,000 in renovations thus far and has retained an architect for 20. But again, my concern is the monies owed to the district thus far, that they be paid in accordance with the terms of the contract. So my concern is that this down payment has not been made. We don't know where the certified checks are, or when they're coming, or exactly what we've received, but there is language in here that requires the utilities to be put in their name as soon as they took possession of that property as a tenant. So if we could get all of those things tightened up so that we are sure we are on board financially and then move forward, that would be good.
Yeah, we need to have, one person from the school district, and I can give Dr. Edmondson the contact person for Dr. Proctor's secretary. And I think those two people should be the ones to make sure that they receive the correct invoices and payments moving forward.
Thank you. Are there any questions for any other board members, or, because we need to make a decision on how we are going to move forward with this rezoning letter, and also if there are any requirements that we would like to be made before we proceed with that.
Madam President?
Yes.
Just to piggyback off of Mr. Haver, if he's gonna send information to Dr. E. I think the person of contact is our finance department, where all the bills and payments and stuff should go. So I believe Ms. Jewel Claire would be that contact person in terms of making sure all dollars amounts and paperwork is done. So that would be the main contact, I believe, for this. That's just my 2 cents as a finance person myself. Thank you.
Thank you.
And this is Kennard. I think that the suggestion that Mr. Haver provided to us in terms of identifying the contact person, and that person is our finance, as well as what trustee has just spoken. And I also think that before we move forward, that we need to, tighten up the loose ends pertaining to this, or we as a board collectively make any decision on the zoning.
I wouldn't wait too long. It's kind of getting to the end almost. I mean, all this stuff takes a really long time. If the city drags their feet, that could take another extra month of time. So you just don't know. I mean, it's important that we move this forward quickly to make sure there's enough time for everybody.
So,
Do
Mr.
you think
Haver,
it's going to take, do you think it's going to take a considerable amount of time and I'm talking to Dr. Edmondson and our finance person if they're there, in researching this and getting this done expeditedly? In terms of what we have to do as a district?
I mean, I can make a spreadsheet in the morning,
thank you.
but, I'll, give me that contact. Give me that contact. Can you get that to me, tomorrow morning? Email it to me? Or Dr. Edmondson?
Yes, yes, for
Okay,
sure.
Okay.
So, board members, is it reasonable to the board that, and Mr. Haver, thank you, because we do need to move along expeditiously on this and not waste time. The whole point is to liquidate our properties. Board members, is it a reasonable requirement that we would, before moving ahead with that, we would have all rent that is due to date be paid, and then also any deposits, any utilities, and then request that the tenant put the utilities in their name, and then we would move forward. And Mr. Haver, the reason why I bring that up is if this is somebody who is planning to pay cash of, what is our selling price?
I should double check on that just to make sure that's still the situation, but
Right.
that's what I understood early on anyway.
Right, so if this is somebody who's paying $650 cash for the property or going to secure a mortgage for that, and they've already invested $200K for renovations and another retained a contractor for $20,000, I think that it should not take them long to just make good on any back rent payments, payment of utilities, and transfer utilities into their name, so that way we are fulfilling all of the terms of the current contract before taking an additional step.
We can do that. I do know one thing that's concerning to her is regarding those checks that she cannot do any, I mean, 15's a lot of money. She can't do anything to get that back for 90 days after the date that they were issued. So I know that's a concern of hers. She felt like she sent it in properly, but I know that is a big concern on her part. So I don't know if she'll push back on it or anything like that. I'm positive she'll catch up, but,
It seems like you
I don't
can
know if
always
it's
put a
close to that
stop payment on
90-day
a
mark
check.
at all, but she didn't want to be throwing out extra money if she didn't have to.
Right, Ms. Claire brought up a good point that if she resubmitted that money, we obviously would not, take double payment, but a stop payment could be issued. Just, and
Yeah,
again,
but somebody else might have those checks right now and they could easily go cash them.
Mr.
That's why you
Haver,
put
I
the stop
can-
payment on it so that they can't.
And Mr. Haver, I can understand that, as Ms. Claire said, is that she can place a stop payment so they can't. But again, our concern is only for the district, and that the monies due to the district are brought up to date. And where the missing money is, or the USPS due to a pandemic, or all those other factors, I don't want us to get derailed on those, because those aren't our concern. And and wanting to be fiscally responsible does not indicate that we aren't excited to have her here and supporting her. Our first responsibility is to our taxpayers and to the people of the district and city. So that is why I mentioned that.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, she's not trying to hide or not pay. So, we can catch her up right away. She has every intention on following through with the deal and making sure everybody gets paid properly.
So, Mr. Haver, we currently have a special meeting scheduled for Friday. So if she wants to just get up to date with all of the expenses that are due to date, by then we could, on Friday, discuss the letter, because it does require an action of the board.
Okay, I just need to know a little bit of a breakdown, but I don't want to be involved in the money thing. It's kind of between the two tenants and the landlord. So I'd like to give you the contact person and work it
Absolutely.
out that way.
That is fair and understood, yes. And also, you mentioned the website, and I know that you had shared that with me verbally. Could you just state that you have that with you for board members? Because it really is, and I would encourage all board members to look at this site, because it really is going to be a great service to the community.
I can see if I can find it on my phone here. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, if you don't have it, that's fine. I know that we had talked, and that's fine. I know it was Honor First with the word spelled out, but we can.
Yeah, Honor First LLC or
Yes, that was it.
something.
Yes, that is it. Honor First, and First is spelled First, not the number, and then LLC. So, yeah, we can do that and email us the contact information for her secretary, and we can touch base and have Jewel Claire provide us all of the invoices and receipts, and then on Friday, if we have that, and we can move forward on this item.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm more than happy to, kind of get this all facilitated until it's all running properly. So anything you want to run through me originally, is fine by me until everything starts running a little bit better.
Sure. And then, Ms. Mays, hopefully we can work with her and just go to the C2 rezoning. But this is conditional. If they don't come through with the mortgage or the cash offer, then the zoning does not change. Is that correct?
Can you say that? I'm sorry, could you say that again?
Yeah, in the event that the buyer decides not to purchase Merriman, either because they cannot obtain a mortgage or the cash offer falls through, the rezoning will not take place, correct?
Correct.
This is just an application to apply for.
Yeah, and that's kind of a little bit of a fail-safe thing too. We're gonna know what the feeling is of the city and getting the C2 conditional zoning ahead of time. So they usually give you hints, or they're just gonna straight out tell you you're gonna be approved or not approved, so.
Okay.
We'll have that, and, I don't know if the school board has any pull with the city, that would help too.
Yeah, we'll call and ask, because definitely we'd like to move this along and sell this property. So are there any other questions for Mr. Haver tonight? From anyone at the table or those joining us remotely? Okay, so if seeing none, we will wait to get that information from Ms. Claire and for the expenses to be brought up to date and utilities transferred as per terms of the contract into the tenant's name, and then we will be able to move on.
Okay, so I mean, if all that happens by the end of the week, do you think by early next week, we could have a letter to deliver to her?
Absolutely. As soon as all that happens, we will have that letter.
Okay,
Yeah, if it happens by the end of this week, we could even, we could add that as an action item and approve that on Friday.
okay, well, I will work to getting it done by this Friday.
Mr. Haver, thank you for your time, and thank you for all the work you've done, helping us with our properties and get them listed and get potential buyers linked with us. We appreciate you very much.
Yeah, I appreciate all you very much too. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me into your meeting tonight.
Thank you.
It's a little something for the board to remember what our properties look like. Just got to keep that in mind. Most of them are dilapidated, so when we can get rid of them and people can grab them, you don't want them to grab it and then they renege and we're stuck with it again. It's very costly to keep Merriman open. It just is.
It
Sitting
is.
there, the windows, the utilities, you just saw the jump from December to January, what that looks like. So, I know that you're gonna have an action item, but I still go back to somebody that really wants the building. We don't want that building. It's
Right.
time for it to go. Let's get it done.
Right. And Dr. Edmondson, I agree with you. I believe the board does too. And when we're talking about a $650,000 property and $2,000 of renovations have gone in, it's reasonable to just require the terms of the contract be met. Well, if we get it, if we get it back because if we get it back because they don't want to pay the rent, then the sale may have fallen through anyway. So, okay, so we are, public comment. Mr. Cooper, do we have any public comment tonight?
All right, we do from Carol Bales. Her comment is, I am writing this communication to personally thank Teresa Beard for her 12 years of dedicated service to the Ramos Board of Education. I had the privilege of personally working with Teresa, and throughout her years of service, she always stepped up to the plate, sharing her wisdom, knowledge, love of students, families, and staff. She worked as a team member and was always fair in her decisions making. She understood her role as a board member and in the decision-making process. She worked through some very difficult financial situations, but always with grace and dignity, even being forced to make some difficult decisions due to state mandates. She was an advocate and supporter of special education and diversity. Teresa's expertise and kind demeanor will be missed. Thank you, Teresa, for serving our district. Fondly, Carol Bales.
Thank you, Ms. Bales, and thank you again, Teresa. We are now, item number 8 on our agenda, report of the superintendent, the cell phone tower we already did, so.
So this is just going to be informational for the board. I met with the entire athletic department at the high school. We had some good conversation, and I just asked them to describe our athletic department in full. It was very, very disappointing, very. But they want to work with us. Very disjointed, but we're looking forward to being a team, and that's what they said. There's really no team, no cohesiveness. So we're working on that, and I asked them what are some of their concerns, and the biggest one was really, I don't want to say the biggest one. One of them was the eligibility. Last year, I believe it was last year at some point, a recommendation was made to have an athletic eligibility set it at a 2.0 cumulative average. That's very punitive for kids. The CUME is, okay, now if it weren't CUME, that's different, but you're CUME. So if a student comes in the 9th grade and gets a 0.3, he or she won't get that CUME up to about their junior year. And they have to be doing very, very well to get that. So I looked at MHSAA, and I need you to know that's the Michigan High School High School Athletic Association. And I look at their standard. Their standard is a little bit less than ours, but it rewards kids, and that's the point. Our program should be a reward for students that are working hard during the semester. You pass 4 out of 6 classes, you're eligible to play. I can share with you that kids do come to a program based on, they will enroll into a school if they have a good athletic program, good athletic facilities, and a GPA requirement that is conducive upon giving them the opportunity academically. So I made a request to you all and I said to the high school coaches that I would go back to the board and I would look at our current GPA requirement, which is in the administrative handbook. No, student code of conduct, student code of conduct. And in there it says that the Board of Education and the superintendent will make the decision. I'm pleading with you to please make the decision to go back to 4 out of 6 passing grades for the semester. And as an example, it rewards kids. Somebody struggles their first semester and they want to play something the next semester. It gives them something in which to work toward which to work. That sounds crazy. And that's all I'm asking. I don't want to drag this out.
Do we know what the state requirement is? I know I was going to look it up, and I don't, or Dr. Laws or Mr. Cooper, do you know what the state requirement is for eligibility? GPA?
It's low. It's definitely low.
MHSAA, which is a state requirement,
what,
does not put a grade on it. It is passing 4 out of 66%, because if it's on trimesters or whatever,
Okay.
how many classes? So just passing 4 out of 6.
For that semester, not
Correct.
cumulative, okay. Right. Okay. So, I guess we should put this motion out, and then if there's discussion, I move that the Board of Education approve a new athletic eligibility that aligns with MHSAA eligibility. The rationale is that our athletic program should be an incentive and point of pride. If a required GPA is 2.0 cumulative, it fails to consider progress, trauma, and remediation. Requiring semester grades rewards achievement and improvement. So the motion would include passing 4 out of 6 classes and not be cumulative. Is there support?
Support.
Are there any board member questions or comments on this motion?
Hit your mic.
I just want to, I haven't seen the MHSA eligibility. I do know that this is pretty much the standard traditional type focus, the rationale. And so I would like to kind of review that just to get more of a clear understanding of that.
Okay. For those joining us, Ms. Kennard and Ms. Terrell, Ms. German said that she would like just time to find out more specifics about the state and understand this better prior to voting on this. So I will, go ahead, Ms. Kennard.
So if I hear you correctly, she's wanting additional information before the board takes a vote on it? Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, I would just say, for my understanding, just for me to be clearly, fully informed about the MHSAA eligibility, I would like to review it first before I form my own decision. So that's just me.
That
Well,
is,
I think,
go ahead, Ms.
yeah,
Kennard.
I think that's reasonable. That's a reasonable request. Yeah, I mean, what is the deadline, absolute deadline for this? Dr. Edmondson?
Right, we would be looking at it for the fall sports. Fall sports, so, yes, and as we make decisions, we should all know that what the state requirements are, but Dr. Edmondson, there is something, yes, sports is more than sports for a lot of students, and a lot of opportunities, and so we don't want to withhold and we have that here. We don't want to penalize students who, their grades may be lower for reasons that are non-academic. Is someone able to read that?
I got it on my phone.
There we go.
Yeah. It says the minimum is that a student must have passed at least 66% of full-time students' course load, generally 4 or 5 classes.
In the previous
In
semester.
the
right?
previous semester, it would be 5 or 7, and be passing the same number of current semester whenever a school does regular academic eligibility checks, at least in a 10-week period.
So then, if it please the board, I will amend the motion that we adopt the MHSAA's academic eligibility requirements for our district. That way we are aligned with the state and we are not imposing any punitive consequences for things that we may not understand that may be non-academic.
Support.
If there are still concerns, again, this will not take effect until fall. So we don't, if there are board members who would like more time to understand this or ask questions, that is absolutely allowable. And if any board member would like more information, then I think that we should accommodate that. This should be something that we should be able to vote on, you know, and be in unanimous agreement on. Are there any questions, concerns, or requests for additional time regarding this matter? Ms. Kennard, Ms. Terrell? I can't see them. Ms. German, would you like the benefit of additional time to look into this?
I would say yes for me.
Okay, and that is fine.
But, and this is just my vote in regards to that. I'm not trying to dissuade anybody against me.
Absolutely, and because we have the benefit of time, then, and it gives us all an opportunity to use that. So I will withdraw my motion, and we will table that for another meeting when we have had time to learn more about this and be comfortable in the vote. Thank you, Mr. Cooper, for pulling that up.
And I will be more than happy to answer any questions that you might have as a coach of over 12 years in this district. I can answer any question you have. I'm pretty versed in the MHSAA and our own past athletic eligibility.
Right.
And I will certainly add to that, that there's time, but there's not that much time, because kids make their decision based on what they know. You wait too long, we've blown it. We haven't blown it for our students, but anybody else that may want to come in is still thinking 2.0. So, I did talk to the coaches too. I know that, I put this on you now, but I certainly put this, the coaches are aware we're meeting Wednesday to discuss this further about how we're going to fix our athletic program, and this is one of the fixes. But I just don't want the board to wait too long, or
Right, absolutely not.
it's not going to, it won't be helpful.
Right, and we will put this on our next agenda so that this will be resolved in May, and you can tell the coaches that, we are looking at going with the state guidelines and nothing more stringent, but that the board has a request time to be fully informed.
So my next question as a follow-up.
And-
The next meeting is Friday. Are we talking about Friday, or we're talking about the 22nd,
The next regular meeting,
24th?
unless the board wants to act on it on the 17th. We have a meeting the 14th, the 17th, and the 24th, so we've got options. But again, I think that there's just those days or 2 weeks tops to ask.
I just want to know what information is needed. So what's going to change between now and then? What information do you need?
And just
so I
for
can
me,
get-
sorry to cut you off, just like Coop, I've coached at the high school level as well. And when you look at the requirement, it does make it easier for the kids to participate. Having that 2.0 or 2.5, it knocks a lot of kids out of the block to where they can't participate. I think if we looked at this and it was a little bit more detailed and had a whole bunch of these, those, thus, and I's in it, it would be more time to look at. But me, myself, I did high school cheer as well as doing Little League. And we at Little League, we follow the MHSAA rule book. We follow their book in our Little League book. So we have adopted a lot of their rules for Little League because we see ourselves as a feeder to our high school. So we follow everything that MHAS does as Little League. So.
Okay, so,
Can I add one more thing too? As I was actually on the MHSAA Wrestling Council and met for over 2 years with it, and they purposely, if you're looking for more detail, they purposely leave it vague so that it can be handled at the local school level.
Right.
Just to let you know.
right. Okay, so what we will do is I've withdrawn the motion. I will poll the board, and we will see at what time we will get that on, but you can let the coaches know that it will be no later than to our regular meeting 2 weeks from tonight. Yes. Okay, so we are moving on to action D. It is the Wayne Risa preliminary budget.
Move that the Board of Education adopt a resolution expressing its support and disapproval of the proposed Wayne Risa budget and must submit to Wayne Risa Board any specific objections and/or proposed changes the board may have to the budget by May 31st, 2021. The RCS Board of Education adopts the following option, and we must designate one of the following: Number 1, the Wayne Risa General Fund operating budget for the 21-22 school year be supported, and that the Secretary of the Board is hereby directed to submit a copy of this resolution to the Secretary of the Wayne Risa Board of Education, along with comments. Or, number 2, the Wayne Risa General Fund operating budget for the 21-22 school year be disapproved for reasons attached hereto, and that the Secretary of the Board is hereby directed to submit a copy of this resolution to the Secretary of Wayne Risa Board of Education, along with any specific objections or proposed changes to the budget. The rationale: each school district, by Board of Education vote, every spring must go through the formal process of approving the Wayne Risa budget. Again this year, Wayne Risa is not sure where next year's budget will land, but the state has not changed the requirement that our board review and adopt a resolution expressing its support or disapproval of the proposed Wayne Risa budget, and must submit to the Wayne Risa Board any specific objections and/or proposed changes the board may have to the budget by May 31st, 2021. Several important areas of this budget are based on property taxes, Act 18 budget, enhancement millage budget, general fund, and property tax values that are not yet published for next year. And the budget implications are none.
Thank you, Trustee Evans, for reading that for me. So moved by Ms. Evans. Is there support? I will support. Any questions or discussion on this? This is a routine action, but if there are any questions or discussion, the floor is open. Seeing none, let's do a roll call vote for the move to support this.
Which one are we doing?
We're going to be, that it be supported, number 1.
Number 1? Okay.
So the motion is move that the Board of Education adopt a resolution expressing its support of the proposed Wayne Risa budget and submit to the Wayne Risa Board any specific objections, which there are none. There are no changes, by May 31st, 2021, and we are adopting that the Wayne Risa General Fund operating budget for the 21-22 school year be supported, and that the Secretary of the Board is hereby directed to submit a copy of this resolution to the Secretary of Wayne Risa Board of Education, along with comments. Moved by Evans, supported by Piles. Roll call, please.
Kennard,
Yes.
Terrell,
Yes.
German,
Yes.
Wester, yes, Evans,
Yes.
Piles.
Yes.
Motion is approved.
We are now on report of the Executive Director of Instruction. Dr. Laws will give us a summer school update.
Set high enough. Just saying. Is it on? Okay. Good evening, everyone. Just wanted to give a brief update in regards to summer school efforts since our last meeting 2 weeks ago, just to keep the board informed of where we're at with all of our efforts for summer school. So since we last met, 4 summer school coordinators have been identified, 1 for each level and 2 for the elementary level, because we have 2 sites, Rom-El and Hale Creek. The coordinators, I met with the coordinators at the beginning of last week. We outlined next steps for their work to work with the curriculum developers. They immediately moved very quickly in setting up meetings with the curriculum developers that they are working with for all levels K through 12. So they have been just doing an outstanding job of moving as quickly as possible in the short amount of time that they've had to identify. Basically what we're doing is we're designing themes so that each 2-week period at the K-8 level, specifically K-5 level, I should say, is based around specific themes and science themes. So they have things like animals and water, and just to make it interesting and fun, also related to the ELA and math infusion, the power standards that they're going to be working on, and so forth. So they are working diligently on developing those lessons. As mentioned before, the curriculum developers may not necessarily be the teachers, and so we want to ensure that when the teachers come in, they're ready to go, they have everything that they need for this very intensive summer school program that we are working on. The school coordinators are working on well, the positions for summer school teachers for internal applicants closed on Friday. We also had external posting, which originally closed on Friday, but we're reopening because we really are trying to get more. I'm going to be upfront. It's tough right now. Teachers are tired, and as much as many of them want to be supportive of summer school, they also need breaks as well. So we're still working on getting our staffing for summer school. High school is looking pretty good because it's just with the combination of allowing some virtual with credit recovery, we think there might be a few gaps with high school. Elementary and the early ages is also looking pretty good. It's our middle school, I think, that is the toughest right now, but we're going to continue to work on that. I was talking with the middle school coordinator today. We were trying to think about some additional recruitment ideas there, but they are continuing to work on identifying, now that the positions have closed, assigning teachers to which classrooms that they are willing to participate in. We did offer the opportunity for teachers to select 2-week time frames so we have some teachers who committed to the whole summer. We have a few that are filling in the gaps in other weeks just to get more people to be willing. But it's still, we're doing the best we can. We had about 30 applicants, which seems like a lot, but when we're going to look at a 1-to-10 to 1-to-15 ratio, that's still, but we will have our summer school program. There's no doubt about that. It's just going to be a matter of how many spots we can offer to students. With that, our school teams, the principals working with their school leadership teams and their teachers are finalizing the list of students that are going to be required to attend. We're using the term required, letting families know that if they get this letter, that if their student doesn't attend, they may be looking at some required remedial classes in the fall, and other types of things that they will have to do in the fall when they come back. But we're really trying to push that these are the required students. That's a smaller list of how many we require, but those are the types of students who in the past maybe we would have considered retaining, but we're not a fan of retaining because we just know that that is probably one of the most negative impacts on a student. So even though we're asking parents to send their child if they're in that required group, if they don't, then they would be looking at additional things happening in the fall to continue to support their child. After we send the list out on the goal is this Friday to get the parent letters out that identify these are the students who are requiring and highly recommending. And then once we're going to give those families a window of time to respond, then any spots that are left, we will open it up to just anyone who would be interested. But we do understand that the purpose of summer school this year, and especially with the grant requirements, is to focus on those students who have the highest level of learning loss. In terms of the enrichment programs, we are offering some enrichment opportunities. These are specifically going to be offered to those students who are in the summer school program in the morning. This is an incentive to get them also involved in being willing to send their child, because if they come in the morning and get some academics, then they have the opportunity to participate in an enrichment program. The way that we're working with the enrichment programs right now is we sent out about a week and a half ago to all staff, anybody willing to put in a proposal for any staff member interested in designing an enrichment program that would run from in the afternoon to send us their proposal of their ideas. So far, we've gotten some proposals around STEM, swim, dance, healthy living, arts and crafts. And then in addition to that, we are trying to coordinate with the city for some potential additional enrichment programs, such as, again, sporting options, also arts and crafts. So working with the city in terms of how can they help identify staff that could support in addition to our own staff that are willing to do these programs. And again, these will be open to our students who are attending our summer school program, and we are providing transportation and paying for the cost of staff. working on some of the budgetary items. We initially, when we put in the grant, you make general conjectures of how much it'll cost, things like how many hours and how many teachers and some general transportation costs and for supplies and things like that. And so those are the things that we still need to finalize after we continue to meet with the city in terms of seeing what they're able to help with and helping to provide staff. So we're continuing to work through this. Everybody's, just working diligently. I talked to at least 2 of the coordinators today, like 5 or 6 times. We were talking emails, and because they're really just trying to make sure we get everything in place to make this happen for our children.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Laws. You've had a lot of extra projects in addition to those that, we know come with the school year, so thank you. I do have a question. The 3rd grade reading law, is that going into effect this year still? And are we able to, any 3rd graders that under that law would need to be retained, could we specifically market our summer program and work with those students and give them like a retest at the end of that might make them eligible to go on to 4th?
So this is very interesting because there's been a lot of chatter amongst everyone in the state around the 3rd grade reading law and requesting that the state suspend the 3rd grade reading law. Just there's a lot of discussion around that. As of right now, they are not suspending the law as it is. What will happen is that students who took M-STEP, so this is what's important to understand. Not all of our children actually took M-STEP because some were virtual, some chose not to send their children, and so forth. Those children who did take the M-STEP in 3rd grade and achieved below, I believe it's 1250 is the number. I was just looking at it with Mr. Rourke today. Those students would then receive a letter from MDE stating that their child scored below a certain level and that therefore they would be considered to be retained by their district, but that the parents have the option to request not to be retained. And also, we do have the purview of whether or not we will retain. So as we get those lists, most of those students we expect will be part of the students that we would already identify for summer school. But the timing is a little, the state will start sending the letters the 26th, but for example, we already got one school's results today, so we already know who those students are. Great. So we're hopeful we'll have most of those students listed, but yes, those would go students that would be go into a group of really pushing to get them in the summer school program, but we still have the ability to determine whether or not we will retain. We will be sending out a communication. I was just working on it today with Mr. Rourke, and we're working on it tomorrow. We will be sending out a communication to families ahead of the letter from the state so that they know what this letter is, so that they don't suddenly freak out and go, oh, my child is going to be retained, and they haven't had any communication. So we are working on that as well.
Thank you. Are there any questions from board members? Ms. German?
I have a question. In regards to, of course, you're putting together a real good plan for summer school. With all the learning loss and the gaps that you will have returning into the new school year, are you all working on your interventions and your MTSS supports, putting those things in place to support those gaps?
So great question. I've been talking with principals about that. And because we are lucky in the sense that we do receive many dollars for Title I and 31A for our students. A principal asked me today, are we going to be doing enrichment? And I said, absolutely. Before and after school enrichment, we had in the past. We intend to do that moving forward. Really looking at the new language that's out there that talks about accelerating learning, and I love that, right? How can we focus on accelerating learning? So yes, 100%. We want to look at how we structure our classrooms next fall, specifically so that we are recognizing to see where students are at their skills that they come with, and how can we organize, especially at those early grades, looking at different ways of approaching how we're supporting students, and not necessarily, we may have children who are going into 1st grade who hardly came to kindergarten, right, who essentially might be kindergarten. How can we organize for certain subject areas? How can we think about it in a different way than we've always done before? So we are having those conversations. Don't know exactly what it's going to look like, but we do recognize that we're going to have to do things a little bit differently going into next school year, because we're going to have so many students who have been impacted, and we need to look at how do we accelerate learning. The other thing that we've been working on as a total district, with the instructional leadership team is Tier 1 strategies, really shoring up how we think about Tier 1 instruction, that then we can focus on Tier 2 and Tier 3. But right now as a district, we have a strong need to look at our Tier 1 instruction. So we've done that with our leadership team. And so we're going to be meeting before school starts in the late August to plan the PD for the entire staff in conjunction with some of the work that we've been doing with what's called visible learning. So, which I'm happy to talk about another night. Yes.
Yes.
One quick question. I know we're still planning, we're talking about summer school, getting ready to plan for the fall. How are we bringing our students back in the fall? Do we have an idea of how we're doing that in terms of in-person, remote? Are we doing
Our
a
goal
hybrid?
is, as many want to come in person, we will move towards in person. But we are looking at how do we create a separate virtual school. I'm not talking about just like you're on a computer and you're working online, but separate. So what we're really moving away from or wanting to move away from is the concurrent classroom, which is what we've had to do this year, where teachers are teaching 2 different groups of students, some online. We really want to organize around, these are the students virtual, these are the students in person, these are the teachers working with those students in person. These are the students who are
Understand, that's what I was
Yes.
kind of thinking,
Yes.
hoping that we would kind of
Yes, so
gear
we have
to. Okay.
discussed that, I've talked much with Dr. Edmondson about that, the cabinet we've talked, principals we've started talking. So we know that's the direction we want to go, and we have some ideas about that and how to organize that. So definitely we recognize that there are many families who want that, and we don't want to lose our students to other districts who are offering that, and we're not.
Well, you have some districts that are saying they're going back 100%, and they're going to say, if you send them to RCS, if you want to do a remote class. So I just know that it's out there. Thank you.
Ms. Kennard, Ms. Terrell, do either of you have a question? Are you good? Okay, seeing none, thank you, Dr. Laws. We are now at the report of the Interim Director of Finance, Ms. Jewel Clare, and she will talk to us about the ratifying resolutions for refunding bonds.
You already approved the sale of these bonds back in October, so this is just a formality that's required legally. This is going to lower our debt, about 3.2 million long-term debt. And that's all I can say about it. Please approve it.
So this is another standard.
Madam President?
Yes.
I move that the Board of Education adopt the presented ratifying resolution for each series of 2021 refunding bonds. Number 1 is Series A, and number 2, Series B. The rationale: to lower borrowing costs. Attached is the ratifying resolution for each bond. And budget implication: debt fund LTD will decrease.
Moved by Wester, is there support?
Support, Kennard.
Supported by Kennard. There are no questions or discussion. We can move to roll call.
Kennard,
Yes.
Terrell,
Yes.
Sherman,
Yes.
Evans,
Yes.
Wester, yes, Pios.
Yes, motion passes. Okay, report of the Director of Human Resources, Margaret Hazlett.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So we have the EduStaff contract in front of you for your consideration. EduStaff is our partner in terms of our substitutes. With respect to teachers and paraeducators, we're part of the Wayne Risa Consortium, which allows us to get a better pricing with respect to that portion of it. So this is for Romulus. These are the additional positions that we work through EduStaff in order to hire. And this is looking for a 3-year contract with them. I've had the opportunity to work with them in other districts. One of the things that I really appreciate about EduStaff as a partner is that they do a wonderful job onboarding staff before they begin working in our school district, ensuring that they are completing the required training and onboarding process before they're released to be able to begin working in our district, and that helps everyone when staff are appropriately on board and dealing with some of the compliance trainings that are requirements. So I would ask for your support in approving this contract.
Thank you. That is a bonus that they do those online trainings for us. Are we currently only contracted with EduStaff? For a while, we had another provider that was added, I believe under Mr. Hall, and I don't remember how long that contract was. I don't know if any board member does. But
They're not Red Rover?
No.
No.
Actually,
No.
Red Rover is the absence management program.
Yes,
So
ISS, that was it.
Integrated Staff Services was our other. We don't currently have a contract
Okay.
with them. Periodically, when we're trying to find occupational therapists, a physical therapist, we reach out to other sources for
Sure.
that. But with respect, I don't want to hit this. Talk with my hands, it gets in the way. But with respect to the other positions that we use this for, our coaches are paid through this. And again, to recall that one of the reasons why school districts moved down the path of working with an organization like EduStaff had to do with the increasing costs with respect to the pension. And when we move in this direction, then we avoid that cost. And so that was one of the financial reasons why school districts moved in this direction. And through the years, EduStaff has become a great partner across the state of Michigan, and also provides marketing tools, help us when we are looking specifically for a long-term building sub in a particular content area. They really partner with us to get that opportunity out to current subs, helping us try to find someone to fill those. So.
Right, and they are much more cost-effective than the other group we were going through, too. Their rates were much higher, so as long as we're good with EduStaff. So I will move that the Board of Education agree to extend agreement with EduStaff from July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2024. Is there support?
Support.
Support, Kennard.
Moved by Pyle, supported by Wester. Is there any questions or discussions? Seeing none, we can move to roll call.
Terrell?
Yes.
German? Yes. Kennard?
Yes.
Evans?
Yes.
Wester, yes. Piles?
Yes, motion passes. Okay. So, we have a report from Mr. Cooper on our smart board installation.
Yes, you have a motion in front of you to enter contract VSC. VSC Incorporated is actually the company that we had already ordered the smart boards through. They are actually at the elementary buildings right now. They are REMC Save approved for state bidding process with them. The budget request therefore with a maximum value, we just have a lot of rooms at the 4 elementaries. This is a complete replacement. It's not saying that it's not necessarily something we can't do in-house. It is time consuming, and we're trying to work with the company so we do not interrupt the teachers as much as possible. Okay, so that's one of the, working with Bill Garland on this, we feel this is the best way to go about this.
Yes, I know that Mr. Garland and Charlie used to install them, okay? And they used to be able to do about 2 or 3 a day. So it is time consuming. But I guess my question is, are they going to be working on these during the school year, or will they be installing them after break?
We are working hard right now to get them to start before the school year.
Before the end of this school year?
Correct. This is a company that's used across the state. They are pretty much booked almost the whole entire summer. So if we don't kind of get this in now, we could be looking, if we have to do it in-house over the summer. As we know, over the summer, the guys the maintenance crew is even busier over the summer. It sounds kind of weird, but that's their time of action to get into the classrooms and get their work done. This would be putting another task on them. The goal is, with working with the company, is they get in one evening, they can tear it down because of what we're trying to do and trying to correct some wrongs that we feel was put into place with the other ones because they were put over a lot of the dry erase marker boards. One of the biggest things I was asked during all of this whole process was the teachers wanted to get their dry erase marker boards back. So the company would come in, they will take everything down, they will terminate all the cabling, do what needs to get done with it. Bill and his crew then can go in and move some of the boards. Some of the, we've actually, myself and Bill have actually been through every single building. We've taken pictures to try and plan with the principals and the teachers where the best location where they can be. Company comes in, takes out, we get in there, next day, moves what needs to get moved, company comes back in, BSC comes back in and installs in that building.
And so we have worked with this company in the past, so we know their workmanship.
Yep,
The
they are
reason I'm
REMC Save
asking is,
approved. Yep.
I know for facts, I've seen some workmanship that is not in the best, to the tune of bolts sticking out the other side of walls this far, and we've had to cut them off, okay? So that's what I'm concerned with, that these are good quality workmanship.
Yep, we've already had them out so they could see, as you know, some of our elementaries have some pretty thin walls.
Right.
So we actually had them out. We want them to physically see what they're dealing with all of this. And they've made some recommendations, and part of their quote is how we can compensate for that.
Okay.
Yep.
Very good, thank you.
Mr. Cooper, just for the record, this is for 65.
Correct. That was the high level. We're not at 65, I can tell you right now. Basically, to give them a quick number so we can get the quote, we kind of had them in, we said, just think about every single room, that we'd have. We're not at 65, I can say that.
So, and that's fine, because of course, we have detailed information that won't be in the motion when we, give the amount that we're authorizing. So I just wanted to verify and state for the record that we have to do a demolition of classroom panels and monitors to even prepare to install these. And the calculation is for the quantity of 65. And then there is labor and service after that demolition to put the smart boards in there. So we have an itemized amount for that. And then there's also cables that are involved, different cables. So it's not just as simple as smart boards, and there are steps in the process, so I did want to.
It's a task in itself.
Right. So the recommended motion is, whereas Romulus Community Schools enters into agreement with VSC Incorporated to remove old interactive boards and projectors and install the already delivered smart board panels with corresponding Chrome boxes and accessories at Barth Elementary, Hale Creek Elementary, Romulus Elementary, and Wick Elementary. The rationale is to replace old equipment that is either outdated or no longer functioning with modern interactive technology for teacher and student use. And the impact to the budget was the quoted for a total cost of the 65 will not exceed $35,425 with the use of ESSER funds.
Second, support.
Moved by Piles, supported by Evitz. Are there any board member questions? Seeing none, we will move into, I'm sorry? Ms. Terrell, do you have a question?
No.
Okay, seeing none, we will move into the roll call vote. Thank you, Mr. Cooper.
Evitz,
Yes.
German,
Yes.
Terrell,
Yes.
Kennard,
Yes.
Wester, yes, Piles.
Yes, motion
is
passes.
approved.
We are into report of the board subcommittees. When I checked, we did not have anybody reporting out this evening. I know that the HR committee will be setting a meeting with Ms. Hazlett soon. We have just had all these special meetings that we've had to get scheduled first. And then if any board member has questions about budget information that you need as we go into June, or any other questions, please direct those to members of the Finance Committee to bring that information back for for the end of the year. And as we go into our tentative agreement, if any board members have questions regarding finances, please make sure to ask those, send those to me, and I will forward those on to the Finance Committee so that we can get that and be prepared when we get that tentative agreement. Okay, so under the report of the board president, first is the vacant seat that we will be appointing, 1 week from today. So we have an open window for anyone who is interested in applying for that seat to submit a letter of interest and resume and qualifications by this Friday at 4 p.m. If any board members know of somebody who would, be a great board member, please be talking about this. Please be promoting this. We want to be invested in this process and in being intentional in recruiting people to serve on the Board of Education. So, and board members, we have a lot of questions from last time, but if board members have, 1 or 2 questions that you would like us to ask the candidates in lieu of those that we have, or in addition to, please email those to me. We will do our candidate interviews Monday beginning at 6 p.m. with the intent of appointing someone and swearing them in that night. The other FYI is about board training. We currently have superintendent and board roles and relationships that we are looking at. We are looking at the workplace relations as was recommended by legal counsel in February. And then I have also had board members talk about wanting to do some some equity training and workshops, and also some team building and unity for board members. So if any board members have specifics on that or priorities, we can reach out to RISA or MASB or other local sources. So please send those to me in order that you would like to do those trainings. And then I have no other FYIs. We would just be the action item for the Wayne RISA election. There is an empty seat on the RISA board, and as we have done this before, the board will vote to send a representative and then an alternate to represent us and cast our vote. We don't yet know when we will be casting that vote, but we do this in 2 different steps. We will elect somebody tonight to represent us, and then we will come back at a future meeting and discuss who the Romulus Community Schools Board of Education will cast their vote for. So at this time, we will discuss, who is available. I don't know, Paula, do you know the time that someone needs to be available to go do this?
The time of the election?
Yeah, the time that
I
they,
believe that it is 6 o'clock on Monday, June the 7th.
okay, so at 6 p.m., and I know, I'm not familiar with the process. I haven't been. I know, I believe, Ms. Kennard, did you do this in the past? And if so, if you want to just, briefly explain that process?
Well, the process is when, on that particular date, usually representatives from each school district will be at the Wayne RISA, and they do a call by school, and the documentation that is at hand is based on the information that our school board, in terms of if they are for or against, and so we do yay or nay, and then they come to a consensus of the vote, and that's it. And in the event that the primary person is not able to do it, the representative second person will serve in that capacity in the absence of.
Thank you. And so this will be on a Monday evening, Monday, June 7th. So.
The first Monday of the month, so it will not be interfering with a board meeting unless we have a special meeting.
Right, but we know that this is And Ms. Kennard, how long were you there? Approximately how long did this take?
Oh, about an hour and a half because they did their order of business first. This wasn't the first thing on the agenda. So there's some other things that they get business out of the way, and then that's part of their agenda. So you'll be there about an hour, hour and a half at the most.
Sure, so anybody who
And
is,
I don't know, again, and I don't know how they're going to do it this year, if it's going to be virtual or not. I'm not for sure. We need to find that out. I'm not sure.
right, I would ask that anybody who is interested in doing this, just keep that in mind, that it is an evening obligation beginning at approximately 6 p.m. and to allow a couple hours. So do we have any board members who would like to represent us in casting that vote?
Well, I could do it this year if anyone else doesn't oppose.
I'm sorry, Ms. Kennard, I didn't hear.
I said that I will be able to do that if anyone on the board doesn't oppose.
I also said I was available.
You available? So we can have a primary and an alternate. Is anybody else interested in this, or are we fine with Ms. Kennard and Ms. Wester acting as our representative and alternate?
I'm good with that.
Ms. Terrell? Any interest? Speak now, or are you fine? Okay. So then, I move that the Board of Education adopt the resolution to consider designation of electoral representative for the June 7th, 2021 biennial election, appointing Board Member Kennard as a designated representative and Board Member Wester as the alternate in the event of the designated representative is unable to attend.
Support.
Okay, so the Wayne Risa Board election will take place on Monday, June 7th, 2021. The election is for one seat on the Wayne Risa Board of Education. This seat is for a 6-year term beginning July 1st, 2021, and ending June 30th, 2027. This seat is currently held by James M. Petrie. So, and this is a standard thing that we do for those seats. So I don't need to read the rest of the rationale. We can move to a roll call vote, please.
Kennard,
Yes.
Terrell,
Yes.
German,
Yes.
Evans,
Yes.
Wester, yes, Piles.
Yes, motion passes. And Mr. Cooper, are there any communications from the public?
There are.
Okay.
No, there are.
Oh, there are?
Yes.
Yes, are, okay.
All right, first one is from Carol Bales. I would like to personally thank the residents and taxpayers for their support in the passage of our recent homestead millage. It makes me so very proud to live in this wonderful community. I'd also like to personally thank John Osborne of Osborne Concrete for his financial and physical support, along with our staff and local unions. You are awesome. In addition, I would like to thank Superintendent Dr. Ben Edmondson for reaching out to community organizations, residents, businesses, and leading the way to the passage of this millage the first time on the ballot. Romulus is the best. Let's keep the positivity rolling. Thank you, everyone. We also have a comment from Sarah Carter and Julia Salerno. I would like to personally thank Dr. Edmondson, Margaret Hazlett, Dr. Rod Green, and the RCS School Board for having the utmost integrity while negotiating with the REA during the past 6 months. The process was collaborative and will help the district move forward. We appreciate being heard and believe this will help to continue to strengthen the relationship between the REA and central office. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any comments from board members? Ms. Terrell?
Only that I am grateful that the millage did pass. I think Dr. Edmondson and others that participated did a wonderful job. And I'm just so appreciative for the level of energy, positive energy that's coming out of the office now. And I see more, hope we're able to do more.
Thank you. Ms. Kennard?
I'm just ecstatic at the fact that whenever we have the opportunity that we do showcase our students, listening to the information from our parents and the students pertaining to the IXL tool and how it helped them with their learning, growth, and experience, and how they work independently through the application. And so I believe, with the continued upswing in that over as we go into the next couple of years, we're going to start seeing from that great things in terms of turning our district where our students are becoming more competitive in the areas in terms of what some of our goals were some 3 years ago when I became a board member. And so this tool seems to be something that they're learning from, they're excited from and about, and to, just to hear the excitement from them, that's rejuvenating. And so I would like to thank Dr. Edmondson for bringing this tool to our district. And I'm quite sure there's going to be some upgrades and there's going to be some other things that he's going to bring to the table. But in knowing that, I just want those who are listening that our school board, one of the things that I constantly say is every child deserves quality education regardless of what their needs are. And so I stand by that, and we are moving in that direction. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Wester?
Just to piggyback off of my colleagues that just spoke, and I say it every week, thank you, Dr. Edmondson, for your hard work and just the hard work you put into this district, day in and day out. I know it's hard and challenging at times. All our jobs are, but just to thank you again for the hard work and to thank everyone that went out and voted for the millage. Like we said, first time passing in a long time. And it's the hard work from our entire central office. I just thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Ms. German?
I echo all of our colleagues, and what they shared. I also want to commend Dr. Edmondson. Just your sacrifice and your leadership in the district is already speaking volumes. I also want to commend Principal Thomas and those amazing students, Thompson, I'm sorry, and those amazing students who had came. I tell you, that's the best part of the meeting is to see those students who had came in and shared how, what they were learning and how it has impacted them over the course of the school year. And so I think that, it's always great to show, the care and the love that the students, that we bring to the students and the students bring to us. So I think that is important. I also want to say happy staff appreciation. I understand that teacher appreciation was last week, but we have to, celebrate all of the staff because if it wasn't for them, then I understand that, the kids would be, without. And I believe that the staff, the teachers, the teacher assistants, the directors, everybody plays a part in supporting those students. And I just think that that's very powerful. So I commend the work that you all are doing in Romulus, that we're doing in Romulus, because I've been impressed, and I haven't been here very long, but I've been very impressed with your leadership, Dr. Edmondson. So we love you.
Thank you. Ms. Evans?
Yes, I also want to thank the citizens for passing this millage. It's been a concern by everyone, and we're very excited that it did pass this first round. And also, looking forward to having new industry in the district, using our facilities, buying our properties. That's a good thing. We're moving upward with improving our visibility and our impression of our buildings. Everybody is commenting on how well the buildings are starting to look, inside and outside. So it's very good. Excited about all of the smart boards going into the buildings. The kids and the teachers love smart boards. It is amazing what they help with, so on all levels. Thank you, Mr. Cooper. Dr. Edmondson, thank you so much for all your diligence, hard work on getting this millage to pass. It's very well known throughout the community. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Edmondson?
Thank you. First of all, thanks to the board, period. I always say that, thanks for giving me an opportunity. And I always take an opportunity. You know what? Isn't that crazy? When I didn't want it on, it was on. The one time. Just want to thank the Board of Education. I say that all the time for giving me the opportunity. I certainly appreciate that. I always thank the cabinet, and I say that's what a servant leader does, is thank the people that are around him or her. You know where my heart is. It's just that simple. Just for the board, I'd like us to think about having a workshop. We're bringing in another new board member. And I know Ms. Ebbets was at the first one, but now we have another board member, so we should consider doing that. In my meeting with President Powles, I just said, perhaps we could consider changing the board meeting dates because they clash with the city council, and I want to go to city council. You know, they're not talking about it. Maybe we think about changing ours somehow if it's alternating Mondays, whatever. Just, I think that would be good for us to start attending a couple of their meetings. And just for you to know, I'm probably going to be out most of June because I have use it or lose it. So I'm like, I can probably tell you the days that I will be here, and it's not going to be that many. I'll try to work around, you know, what days that we have board meetings, but I have to use them, and I hate having to do it all in 1 month, but that's what it's going to look like. So if we can, you know, if you have things that we have to do, just keep in mind that I probably won't be there because that's what I have to do. But I will be at graduation in a car. No, and thank you, Ms. Piles, for meeting with me last week. Appreciate that.
Appreciate that.
President Piles.
Thank you, Dr. Edmondson. Again, the millage success. I mean, everything we do depends on us having the funding to do it. So thank you to our voters for your faith in us and for coming out and supporting that. Dr. Edmondson, thank you for talking about that continually and keeping that message out. And as the inaccuracies came to light, for clarifying those. It isn't just the millage passing, it is a tremendous relief that we don't have to work for August or November. It passed, now we're moving forward, and we're going to plan our school year. And so that is a tremendous relief. So thank you to Dr. Edmondson, thank you to central office staff, and all of our administrators, the REA, and our community members who really got out there and helped promote that message with accuracy so that we could pass that the first time. Dr. Laws, thank you very much for all of the work you are doing, both with the curriculum now and with planning our summer school program. The pandemic has been difficult, and both the academic gap as well as the opportunity gap, we have seen that widen over the past year. But we have also had a unique opportunity to look at the things that we could do better and do differently. And every student has the ability to learn, but not every student learns the right way. So Dr. Edmondson, thank you for the IXL. We saw the benefit of that. And it's a time where it's okay to think outside of the box and reach all our students, because standardized education and fitting unique individuals into a mold just doesn't work. We need to be able to come with unconventional ways and new ideas. And so thank you for IXL. Dr. Sophia, thank you for the things that you are doing that we will do differently, the enrichment. I'm so excited about that as a motivator to get students to come, and there's learning opportunities through things like that. So, and thank you to all the board members for all the meetings we've had to schedule that are coming up in the next few weeks. Thank you for your flexibility, for your willingness to take care of business, and so that we can move together in solidarity for our students. And with that, I will make a motion to adjourn. Roll call, please.
Piles,
Yes.
Evans,
Yes.
Kennard,
Yes.
Terrell,
Yes.
German,
Yes.
Lester, yes.
Meeting adjourned
9:06.
9:06. Yes.